Stand up, New York Giant fans.
Yes.
We are here. Football season starts in
It's
2
here.
days. And season starts in 5 days. We're here.
We are here, ready to go. I am ready. I'm always ready for the weekend anyway, but I'm definitely ready for this weekend. No
Can't
question.
Can't wait.
Me
We've been
neither.
waiting for this game since about week 5 last year.
Yeah.
When the season went up in smoke. And the more I've been thinking about it leading up into the week, the more this is like a must-win game. And you never want to say that like week 1. I've said it now routinely during our shows. Like you look at the last 2 years, how imperative the first week was. The Titans kind of set the tone last year against the Cowboys, kind of set the tone. And you're going up against the Minnesota Vikings. You're home. They're without TJ Hawkinson, arguably their second best weapon.
Yep.
Addison may be limited. From what I saw, he practiced at a limited capacity, so maybe he will play. But listen, we know after week 2 the schedule gets brutal. So I really feel like this is like as close to a must-win week 1 game as there is. If you're a Giants fan going into week 1, it really is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Daniel Jones has to get off to a good start. Like this is imperative for him. There's so much criticism out there. I mean, listen, you can look at the Giants fan base, opposing fan bases. You can look at the analysts. You can look at the freaking Madden ratings. Like he's 32nd. Like there's literally, the rookies have higher ratings than Daniel Jones. Okay, so nobody believes. Some of the Giants fans obviously believe in him, but most people do not believe in him because for the better part of 5 years, he's been bad. He's had some good games. He had a good season in 2022. He had a pretty good rookie season. He was up and down, but you saw flashes of this. And Chris, I said this, a couple live streams ago. What I really want from Daniel Jones, I talk about the 1986 America's game, okay? Mm-hmm. And in 1986, Phil Simms struggled a lot of the year, and they won a game against the Vikings. And Bill Parcells said, listen, I don't care. Take some chances. I don't care if you throw 4 interceptions.
Right.
I wish Dable would just go to Daniel Jones and say, dude, listen, I don't care if you turn the freaking ball over. Just go out there and play football. Don't worry about turning the ball over. Let it rip. Just play. Just play football. I don't care if you turn it over. I don't care what happens. Just go out there and play because, it seems like ever since Joe Judge is there, like he's just got it in his head. I can't turn the ball over. Can't turn the ball over. Can't turn the ball over. And when you do that, you're going to be scared to make certain throws. You're going to hesitate like he does because you're like, he's not open. And in his mind, even though the guy's open by a step, he's thinking he's not open.
Yeah.
I just wish Dable would just go to him and just say, listen, I got confidence in you, right? Nobody else believes in you or whatever. Don't listen to all these people that are saying, they don't believe in you. Don't ignore it. Listen to it. When Daniel Jones said, I don't care what they say. I care about the people that believe me. No, you should listen to both sides. Remember in Rocky IV when he says, don't listen to him, Rocky, and then Apollo says, no, do listen to him. Do listen to him. Listen to the naysayers. Go out there and play football. He can do this. He's got to get out of his own head. He gets off to a good start, Chris, builds confidence like he did in week 1 in 2022. He can have a good year. We can have a good year.
Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to him. I'm not saying he's got to be a superstar, but he plays the most important position, and he's got to take care of the football like he did in 2022. He's got to give this team a chance to win every Sunday, and that's what he was able to do for the most part in 2022. And last year it was the complete opposite. Due in large part to injuries, but a lot to do with him as well. He was awful last year, and the first preseason game and the 2 quarters that we got to see didn't bring much confidence throughout the fan base, rightfully so. So, we'll see how they stack up week 1, and I think it's a good test. Even though I do think the Vikings are one of the more winnable games on our schedule this year. You talk about the Giants, of course, brought Adoree Jackson back this week. We'll see with him. He didn't look nearly as good as he did the year before. I think his PFF grade was like 48 last year. He was but at the end of the day, he's an upgrade over what we had. I mean, it's a complete unknown in that secondary this year. It's why a lot of Giants fans were calling for the Giants to bring back Adoree Jackson. Obviously, his familiarity from within the building, his familiarity with Bowen. He played with him with the Tennessee Titans. So the Giants kind of made out there. They didn't have to spend a whole lot. They get a veteran that could kind of be a stopgap filler for another year as they continue to build that young secondary. We'll see if Adoree's starting early on this year or whether or not they go with Cordell Flott. But, I thought that was a good pickup. But we all know going into the year, probably the weakest position group on this team outside of maybe the offensive line. We have to see how they grow this year with Brasillo, and we have hopes that they're going to be better. But the biggest question mark, definitely on the defense, is the secondary. And now you're going up against Justin Jefferson, potentially Jordan Addison. So that's a big, big test week 1. Even though Sam Darnold's throwing them the football, we know that Justin Jefferson could win a game by himself. So that'll be a big test for this Giants secondary week 1. There's no doubt about it.
Do you think that they'll have Deonte Banks shadow Justin Jefferson? Do you think they're just going to let Deonte Banks play, the left side or right corner and just leave him over there?
To be honest with you, I haven't gotten to see Shane Bowen as a DC, on a regular basis. Like, I know, like, his defensive philosophy is bend but don't break. He's more Patrick Graham, but like, I haven't gotten to see him. Obviously, I don't watch a lot of Titan games, so I don't know what he traditionally does in terms of shadow guys. Like Wink, I think we had more of an idea of what they would do in that situation. So we'll see. Probably not, if I had to guess, but to be honest with you, I don't know. I haven't gotten to see Shane Bowen call a game from start to finish, so I'll be as interested as you are with that. I can't wait to see what this team looks like week 1.
I think they're going to have to double him, Chris. I think you have to make.
I agree. Yeah, you have to. You have to let somebody else beat you on that Vikings team. There's no doubt about it. He's arguably the best receiver in the game. But thank you to everybody for being here. Going to give a couple of quick shout outs. Papa Gooch in the chat, Tommy G in the chat. Afghanistan, of course, Bliss fan in the chat, Cruise 80. What's going on? I want to give a shout out to Juan, one of my members. He says, "Let's go, G-Man." What's up, Chris the Bad Dog? Let's go, G-Man is right, man. Thank you so much for being here. Why couldn't Bobby Johnson go to the Eagles or Cowboys? Good question, Dr. Garrett. Good question. Well, at least he will do damage for the Washington Commanders with a rookie quarterback with Jaden Daniels. But not the most loved offensive coach on the New York Giants coaching staff over the last couple of years. So good to see him go. That was definitely one of the better offseason departures and acquisitions by the Commanders. Love to see him stay in the division. So hopefully the Giants could take advantage of him week 2. But week 1, we got to worry about the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, this front seven, that's the strength of our defense. And they got to get pressure on Darnold. Listen, I'm not a Darnold fan. I've been saying Sam Darnold stinks since he was drafted. I never had any confidence in him, and he's been terrible. He's never had a year, I don't believe, where he's thrown over 60% completion percentage. He hasn't been good at all, but I have said this year, if there's ever going to be a year for Sam Darnold, it's kind of like Daniel Jones, right? This is definitely by far the best team Sam Darnold's had around him. And listen, I'm not a good fantasy football player. I'm not going to act like I am, right? So I never say to listen to my advice, but I felt like he was a sleeper this year. And my quarterback in my fantasy league, quarterbacks go so fast. And everybody can keep 2 players. There's 12 teams. And you play 2 quarterbacks. So you literally need 3 quarterbacks. So there's 36 quarterbacks. There ain't 36 starters. So it is very difficult to get a quarterback. I ended up drafting Sam Darnold in the 4th round so I could have another quarterback. I took Mahomes first, and then I ended up with Sam Darnold. And our 3rd quarterback ended up being Jacoby Brissett because at least he's starting to begin the year. Like Jalen Hurts.
I don't even know where is Brissett this year. I don't even know.
New England.
Oh, New England. That's right.
So he's starting over Drake May. I'm like, we have to, because both of our quarterbacks are on a bye week 6, which I didn't know. And I'm like, shit. So if nothing else,
good chance by week 6. May's got that job by week 6.
Maybe not. I don't know when they plan on bringing up May, but I was like, if nothing else, I'll just take Taysom Hill. I know he'll see the ball. But again, Sam Darnold hasn't been great, but Sam Darnold's never had Justin Jefferson to throw to. He's never had Jordan Addison to throw to. He hasn't had this type of team, so. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to throw for 350 yards or anything against us, but that's a guy. He's not, he can be had. So
listen, we're going to get a good test week 1. We get to see the strength of this team going up against Sam Darnold. We'll see if we get a pass rush and create some turnovers. We all know as Giants fans getting to watch Jets games while he was here, Darnold has good tools. There was a reason he was drafted as high as he was. He's got a strong arm. He actually, I think, has some underrated mobility. He could definitely run a bit, not like Daniel Jones. He's not that level, but
he can escape the pocket, though.
Yeah, he could escape the pocket. He's got the ability to run, but we also know that Sam Darnold is not allergic to making boneheaded decisions. And if the Giants could get a pass rush on him, I think the Giants defense will get some opportunities to create some turnovers in this game. So we'll see. And obviously what I'm going to have my eye on, and I think what a lot of Giants fans are going to have their eye on going into this game week 1, is how does that offensive line look against the Minnesota pass rush. It's been the biggest question mark every offseason. And in my opinion, it's still the biggest question mark going into the year. Obviously, you could certainly argue Daniel Jones. You could argue the secondary. But listen, if this offensive line can't perform at an adequate level, we're going nowhere this year. So to me, that I'll have my eye on that. The Minnesota Vikings added a couple of pass rushers this offseason in free agency. Greenard, I think is his last name. He had 14 sacks last year. So they're going to bring the pressure. We know that they like to blitz, at least early on in the year. I was actually surprised when I looked at the blitz frequency, but I remember early on last year, they talked about a lot how Brian Flores was a lot more aggressive than the previous defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. So we know they're going to try to bring the pressure, and we'll see if the Giants offensive line could stand the test. And hopefully they could establish a ground game as well with this new running back by committee approach. And of course, all eyes are going to be on Malik Neighbors, a guy that, I mean, I can't wait to see in a real live game that means something week 1.
Agreed. And listen, if he brings pressure, you would think guys like Malik Neighbors and Wandale could get open really quick. And if he's bringing pressure and you get Malik Neighbors in a one-on-one, you know he can take that 8-yard pass 80 yards. That's what he brings. This is something we have not had since Odell Beckham. And Wandale Robinson's the same thing. I don't know if Wandale Robinson he's not as explosive as Neighbors, but we know he's a yak monster. We know Wandale's really good after the catch. And you know that my hot take is like Wandale having 1,000 yards this year. Okay. Because I think that Malik Neighbors is going to draw a lot of attention. I don't know who's going to be wide receiver 2 going into the year. I don't know if it's Slayton or Hyatt, but either way, Slayton's a very good receiver too. Hyatt, I think, still has some work to do, but we know he's an absolute burner. I think this is going to allow Wandale a lot of room underneath because those outside receivers are going to now garner a lot of attention. I think Wandale's poised a really good year because, again, that's the type of guy that Daniel Jones, he's just locate 7 yards, quick slants, quick ins, quick outs, quick posts, whatever. Wandale Robinson can do things. And much like 2022, where Brian Dable, who now has come out and just admitted, I'm calling the plays, which I think he did in 2022 anyway, Chris. I think that we're going to see more of the 2022, but they will take more deeper shots. I think they'll see what the line gives them.
Yeah.
And maybe at the beginning, I think you're going to see some safe throws from Daniel Jones. I know everybody's going to be pissed. Oh, he's checking it down.
I agree with that approach, man. You know that this guy, his confidence has to be rattled. At the end of the day, he's a human being. He's coming off an ACL tear. He knows how poor he performed last year outside of that 1/2 against the Arizona Cardinals. He looked awful in the first preseason game. I think week 1, if you're Brian Dable, you simplify it for Daniel Jones, much like you did throughout the majority of 2022. Boom, get it out quick. First read throws, get Wandale out in space, get Neighbors out in space. First read, get the ball out quick. That's what my game plan would be going into this game. And then as the defense starts to creep up, maybe if you could get a ground game established, maybe then you try to take that shot to Hyatt, you try to take that shot to Neighbors. But for me, yeah, I think I try to get them in a rhythm, kind of like in basketball, when you're not hitting your 3-point shot, get to the foul line, see the ball go through the net. I think that should be the approach early on in this ball game, week 1 for the New York Giants and Daniel Jones, much like he did a lot in 2022. Get the ball out of his hand quick, design screens, quick slants, get him in a rhythm. I think that should be the game plan. And it was officially announced this week that Brian Dable is going to be calling the plays, which we all kind of knew.
Yeah,
they
came out today.
Now it's official. But let's give a quick shout out to Mike Nix. He says, "What's up, Tainted Bad Dog? I want to believe Daniel. There's a lot of quarterback coming out in this draft. Shador Sanders, Ewers. Mike. I watch college football just like everybody else this past week. Again, it's David versus Goliath a lot of time. Week 1. I don't read too much into it. I know Sanders had a great game. I think he threw 5 touchdowns. He had a great game.
45. Yeah, Sanders.
Milroe had a couple of huge runs. I watched a bit of the Alabama game, but listen."
They played the Citadel or something. Western Kentucky. I didn't even watch.
I don't even want to start talking about the quarterbacks. If the Giants stink week 5, week 6, then I'll start to at least say, okay.
Mike Nixon forgot the best quarterback anyway, and that's Cameron Ward. How good did he perform? How good is he? His odds when I bet Cameron Ward to win the Heisman, he was 22-1. I bet it in February. After the game against Florida, down to 10-1. I'm telling you, I've been saying this for 2 years. Listen, I know I may have some bad takes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not always right, but I'm telling you, man, more often than not, when it comes to these college quarterbacks, I know who's going to be good and who's not. Right?
You know, I'm excited. Not that at all for the Giants, but I actually liked him when I got to see him play at Duke last year. Just as, and I don't want the Giants to draft him, but I'm
Might
actually
be
excited.
Edward?
I'm excited to see how he does with Notre Dame this year. I watched a bit of the game last week. And he played a good team. They played Texas and A&M. They were ranked 20th. And they were on the road. That was a good win for Notre Dame. I think he looked pretty good from what I saw. Again, not a guy I'm even entertaining for the Giants. I'm just a Notre Dame fan, and I liked what I saw last year when I watched him. So I'm interested to see how he progresses this year. The kid from Penn State, I think, has potential.
I got to see more of him. He played well, but I didn't think he didn't really impress me last year. But I got to watch more of him.
He's got a big arm, though, at least from the limited time I've watched the Penn State games when he played last year. He's got a big arm, but we'll see this year. Angel, he says, our biggest position of strength is our D-line. Dable calling plays on offense will be our second biggest strength. If anyone knows what works for Jones, it's Dable. D-line will win close games for us. If the Giants are going to win games this year, it's going to be a lot like 2022 with, like Bad Dog said, some more sprinkled big plays than we had that year because of the explosion of a guy like a Hyatt and a Neighbors. But it's going to be a similar strategy. In my opinion, it's going to be limit turnovers, hit more, big plays a little bit more frequently, but get the ball out quick, limit mistakes, and allow the biggest strength of your team, like you said there, Angel, to close out the football games for you, which should be that pass rush. You have arguably the best interior defensive lineman in football. You bring Brian Burns, who's a very good, at a bare minimum, a very good edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeau, who you're hoping grows into a very good to great pass rusher this year. That's your bread and butter. That's how this team is going to win football games, is attacking the other quarterback. So I think that's going to be the strategy. They're going to try to close out dirty, disgusting games the way that they were able to do in 2022. And that's this team's best chance to win. We have to realize we're not the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think Brian Dable and Joe Shane know that. And I also think that even though we both agree that they're almost, I wouldn't say certain, but it's more likely than not they're going to see a fourth year, they feel pressure this year. I mean, at the end of the day, it's year 3. You came off a disappointing year, to put it nicely, last year, and this is your team now. Like these are your guys. There's pressure for this team to start to produce. I'm not saying win the Super Bowl, probably not even make the playoff. I mean, I would like to see it, but I don't think they need to do that to meet expectations. But this team can't completely flop this year. And there's some pressure this year on Brian Dable. There's no doubt about it. And Joe Shane as well.
I don't like that, man. I read that too. Brian Dable's like, I know my job's on a lot. I'm like, dude, 2 years ago, we were in the freaking postseason. Last year, and I'm not saying we played well. Don't get me wrong. But this team was decimated by injury. Yeah. And they literally should have won 8 games. We know they should have beat the Jets. If Gano makes the field goal, we win. If Tyrod Taylor don't make the bonehead play at the end of the half, we might win. If Barkley can get a yard, that just tells me they have no confidence in Barkley, because during that Jets game, Chris, I was like, just run the ball, Barkley. Just get Barkley a yard and the game's over. And they could have done that at the end of the Buffalo game. You had 1 down. Give it to your best player. They didn't do that. Either way, they should have won both of those games, especially the Jets game. That gives us 8 wins with that team. And they could have beat the Eagles on Christmas. And they could have beat the Rams. They really, as bad as they were like this close to making the postseason. And those guys never quit. I've said
it on multiple shows, and I hate bringing up the ifs and buts and candies and nuts, because that's the NFL. That's what makes the NFL great. That's what if. But that's what makes the NFL fun. Every year, your team is this close to winning 6 games or 10 games. That's 20 to 25 teams in the league every single year before the year starts. If Graham Gano is Graham Gano from 2 years ago, even with all the injuries the team had last year, I've said it multiple times, we won 8 games last year. Yeah. And Graham Gano was so vital to the team that went 9-7-1 the year before. You think about all the close games that we won due to the fact, at least due in large part to the fact that guy was hitting 55, 56-yard field goals that you take for granted. So we were, as crazy as it may sound, not far off, like you said, from winning 8 or 9 games last year. So that's the beauty of the NFL. Hopefully this year we get some bounces that some fans don't think we're going to get based off recent history. They could stay relatively healthy, and we could have a fun season. That's what I'm hoping for going into the year. I'm trying to go in realistic and know that we're not the cream of the crop, but also know that I think there's reason to think they could do better than some of the pundits may think.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. The team doesn't quit on Dable. 2 years ago, they were in the postseason. I don't know how. And Joe Shane's guys haven't even had a chance at a belt. Like, everyone's like, Joe Shane had bad drafts. I'm like, dude, he's had 2 drafts. We haven't even seen this draft class play. So how can you judge him. Like this team, literally, like I said, they won a playoff game for the first time in 10 years. I don't know how you can just take that away from these guys. If you continue to do this year in and year out, and don't give a GM, Justin Pugh talked about this when he was on our show. If you don't give that GM time to build a team, the next guy's going to come in and he's going to tear it all down and have to start all over again. And if you're impatient, you're in purgatory. You can't do that. I don't think that these guys, I really don't think their job's on the line unless they completely, like you said, they fall off a cliff and go 2-15, 3-14. Yeah.
I agree with you. I like to think that's the case, and I think it's the proper approach. But we know that Dable has folded to pressure before in recent history, specifically in the turning over of coaches and GM. Well, more so coaches. I think Gettleman definitely got as long of a leash as he deserved, but that's why I won't ever go into a year saying 100%, especially year 3 into a regime. These guys are completely safe. I think Shane's almost safe no matter what. Dable, almost no matter what. But if the team, like you said, wins 3 or 4 games and they completely bomb, I wouldn't be surprised if Shane needs to save his job. So I do think there's pressure this year, and there's no doubt. I mean, there's pressure every year in the NFL. But when you tack on the fact that it's year 3, you're coming off a disappointing year. Last year kind of felt like house money, much like year 1. Year 1 was house money, no expectations at all. You completely exceeded that. Obviously, there were some raised expectations based off the previous year, but I think a lot of us realized some of it was smoke and mirrors. You were playing a harder schedule. And if the team kind of regressed a bit, we weren't expecting that big of a regression. We would have been like, okay, that's fine. There wasn't that much pressure last year because they had a really successful year 1. This year, the pressure's turned up a bit. I'm not saying the oven's on 450 bad though, but it's at 375. It's it's starting to heat up for a bit at them, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say there's no heat on these guys, but I just hate to think that they'd get rid of him. And again, if you have a really poor team, they're going quarterback again, and that I think gives them job security. People can say, and I understand they're the ones that gave Jones a contract, but what choice did they have? Yeah. What choice did they have at that point? So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I can tell you what, Chris, winning will cure all of this shit, and it'll answer all the questions. So just go out there and win football games, right?
It'd be nice. It'd be nice. I saw JC ask this question a few times. He says, what current quarterback would you all consider as meeting your minimum requirements for a franchise quarterback? This is a very subjective question. It's been a question that we've been asked multiple times. Who do you consider a franchise quarterback? Everybody has their own definitions of a franchise quarterback. My definition of a franchise quarterback is a guy that you could pay at the top of the league rate, which is not what Daniel Jones got, by the way. It's significantly higher than that. It's what Jalen Hurts got. I think Tua got his extension, right? What those guys have gotten, those are franchise quarterback guys that could take on 18, 20% of the cap and still compete to win Super Bowls year in and year out. That's what I consider a franchise quarterback. Yep. There's not many of them. There might be 7, 8 tops if you go by that standard. If you consider a guy like Kirk Cousins a franchise quarterback, I don't. Then you're going to have a bigger list than me. If you consider Dak Prescott, I think he's kind of on the cusp, but I wouldn't quite label him a franchise quarterback. If you consider those guys franchise quarterback, you're going to have a larger list than me. My list ends at about 7 or 8. I can't pinpoint who the 7th or 8th guy is, but it's a limited select few. I don't think there's an abundance of franchise quarterbacks. It's why they make as much as they do. It's why a guy like Daniel Jones, who was thought to be middle of the pack when he got that contract extension, got paid because it's supply and demand. It's why quarterbacks always go higher in the draft than they should, because there's not a lot of good ones in the NFL. So to me, there's only 7 or 8 true franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes is one. Josh Allen, I consider, Justin Herbert a franchise quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback, in my opinion.
Or at least trending towards being one.
Right. Dak Prescott is a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. I mean, he's done it for 9 years. I mean, that's a franchise because they don't win in the postseason, but they win 12 games.
To me, he's a fringe. He's for me, he's like he's as close as you could get. If he's not a franchise quarterback, he's just outside of it.
Jordan Love has that potential.
I think he's going to be a franchise
quarterback. Stroud looked like he's got that potential, but they're young players. Obviously defenses are going to adjust to these guys this year, so we'll see how they respond.
Stafford, if he's healthy.
Yeah, Stafford.
I think you kind of have to throw him in there.
Aaron Rodgers, obviously. He's healthy. At the end of his career, but he was, he's a franchise quarterback. I don't consider Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback. They can consider him that. I don't. I mean,
he got paid like it. Tua got paid like it too.
Yeah, he got voted one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the league. I was like, it's about time somebody told the damn truth about Jalen Hurts. The freaking guy's overrated. Okay, I mean, it just is what it is. But we'll say it's not that easy to get a franchise quarterback. Everyone's like, oh, replace DJ, get this guy, get that guy, and you can do that. But if the team is not set up well, for quarterback's going to come in and he may not live up to expectations, and then you're right back in QB purgatory again. So, but Daniel Jones, this is it. He's exhausted all 9 lives. If they are bad this year, he is gone.
I don't know if you mentioned Lamar Jackson. If you didn't, he's a franchise.
I forgot Lamar Jackson. Definitely.
But yeah, I to me, the definition of a franchise quarterback is a guy whose team, before the year starts, you say he's at least got a decent chance to compete to win a Super Bowl. And there's not many of them. And you name I wouldn't necessarily consider Trevor Lawrence a franchise quarterback yet. Do I think he will get there? Yes. I think the talent is really high. And we'll see. I think this could be a big year for him. Caleb Williams, I think, will be, but you obviously can't say that yet. CJ Stroud, if he's not there, he's going to be. So there's a lot of young and up-and-coming quarterbacks as well. Yeah. Drillsy says Danny Dimes getting the bag and scoring reporters. Is that true? I think that's just nonsense rumors, right? Like there's no truth to that. They kind of
talked about a long time ago. I don't know if it's coming back. I mean, I did a video about him tapping that ass, which was showing my age because that's what we used to say back in the day. Tapping that ass.
Me too. That's not a thing anymore. What do they say now? What do they say now?
I have no idea. Do they even have
caboose? What do they say?
Do they even have it nowadays? I mean, I don't know. Everybody's doing things online. Do people actually hook up anymore? I don't know. I mean, I've been married a long time. I don't know how the hell this works. The other one was you got tapping an ass and hitting the skins. That was another.
I think that's before my time.
Yeah, that was a 90s term. When give me the skins. Yeah, I was like, early 90s, middle 90s. I don't know what the deal is with Daniel Jones cams. I don't really give a shit. Good. If he's hitting it, great for him. I just want him to win some freaking football games. I don't care who the man is.
I want him to hit whoever he has to hit for him to throw 3 touchdowns. That's it. Yeah. That's all I care about.
Hit your receivers, bro.
Exactly. And Brady says, "What's up, guys? I think the new O-line, new coach, Singletary will have a solid year. He's consistent. Crazy to think he'll have 900 yards. No, I don't think that's crazy. I mean, it's all going to be dependent on how much of a committee they have. But no, I don't think that's crazy at all. If he stays healthy, I think he will have 900 yards because I think he's going to be the most featured running back in this offense. And as we've said, I think the Giants are going to run a good amount. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he had 900 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if he had 1,000 yards. I think he's going to be the most featured running back in this offense. So, I'm not saying I'm predicting that, but it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, especially since, again, you're not going to really make a concerted effort to stuff the box like you would with Barkley, especially with the Malik Neighbors now. I mean, Devin Singletary averaged almost 5 yards a carry last year. It's not like he's a scrub. I mean, play. Yeah, and we're going to do a lot of running back by committee. There's no reason to think these 3 guys can't rush for 1,200 yards between the 3 of them. I don't see why.
And Daniel Jones, if he could stay on the field, right, 500 or 600.
I think they'll be okay in the running game. I'm not saying they're going to have a threat. It's like, oh my God, Devin Singletary, but I think it'll be effective enough. If you get 3 yards, if it's 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, you can work with that. So it's gonna be up to the offensive line. And we'll see. Like I said, I had the hot take of Wandale getting 1,000 yards, and my other hot take is I think this offensive line is going to be right around average. I know it's preseason.
I have a hot take, Bad Dog. If that hot take is correct, which I am not jumping on that hot take because it's kind of like, me predicting the Giants to beat the Cowboys. I'll believe it when I see it.
Right, yeah.
When I see the Giants have an average offensive line, I will believe it. I cannot predict that until I see it because it's been 932 years since we've seen an average offensive line. But if your prediction is correct, then the Giants have an average offensive line or near average offensive line, this team's going to the playoffs. I believe that wholeheartedly. If they could have an average offensive line, I think they will make the playoffs. I think Brian Dable is too good of a coach. I think we have a really good pass rush, and I think the offense has enough weapons if they have an average offensive line where they could win 9 games. So
they got to stay healthy, obviously.
Obviously, but I don't think you'll have an average offensive line if they don't stay healthy.
Right. But I'm saying if they do, and then I do. The way they played against the Texans, they didn't give up one sack in that game. And remember that the Texans were playing their guys in the first quarter. Now Daniel Jones almost got sacked, but that was his fault. I mean that protection was there for a while before it broke down and he threw that bad interception. But I like it. I don't know, man. I feel like not only did they upgrade with Runyon and Illuminor and Van Roten, I think that's an upgrade as well over a guy like Azudu. I like Brasillo. We saw what he did with Las Vegas. We saw that was one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and he got him to average, maybe a little bit above average. And two of his guys came over here. You got Andrew Thomas. We know what he is. I think John Michael Schmitz is still a question. I hope he can stay healthy because it seems like he's constantly got some nagging injury going on.
Yeah.
You hope he takes a step forward, but I have confidence in Runyon. I have confidence in the line. I don't have confidence, but I'm not as worried about it as I've been in previous years. Maybe that's just me fanning and thinking with my heart, not my head, but I just feel like they did a good job. It still has work to do, but I really feel like they took a good swing at it this year.
Oh, they clearly did. I mean,
I wish they would have drafted Cooper Beebe. That's a guy I wish they would have taken instead of Drew Phillips, but I understand the need for secondary help. I understand the need for corners. So I can't get on too bad for that. But, again, maybe it's just me being a fan and being a little homerish, but I feel like the line's going to be okay.
I hope so, man. And I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibility. They clearly made it a focal point to improve it a lot this offseason. So we'll see how big of an impact the new coach will has, right? I mean, I think a lot of Giants fans that think the way that you think that Priscilla is going to have a pretty big impact. So hopefully that's the case. I just need to see it before I buy into it. But if they do, I don't see any reason why this team can't win 9 games this year if they have an average offensive line. So we'll see. We'll see. Adam says, on the eve of yet another season, good luck, dudes, and thanks for the content weekend. And we appreciate it, Adam. Yeah, I'm looking forward to calling the game on Sunday. That'll be here. Of course, we'll be live Bad Dogs the night before. I can't wait, man. Sunday football, 1 o'clock, Giants, Vikings. The Giants look to get off to a 1-0 start. I can't wait, man. I've been thinking about this game, like I said at the top of the stream, for like 9 months. So hopefully we get off on the right foot, man.
That'd be awesome. We could. It'd be nice. We had a fun season in 2022. We had a lot of fun that year, bro. It was like, not that we don't have fun, but it's much more fun when you win. 2021 was fun in the fact it was so awful. It was just laughable. I mean, you just had to laugh at the ineptitude of that team. I think last year was just very frustrating. I know after the Seattle game, I was done. I was pissed. That was as mad as I've been at a regular season game probably since 2010 when the Giants blew that 31-7 lead to the Eagles. I just felt like we should have been 2-2. Seattle was such a bad pass defense. Come in there, that we give up 11 or 12 sacks. Jones throws that terrible pick six.
That was awful.
And we get blown out 24-3. And I knew our season was done then. And I'm thinking, here we are, week 4. And here we go again. It's over. And it's just, if we could have won that game in 2-2, maybe the season was a different way. But it didn't happen.
Yeah, that was awful last year. Embarrassing. Mike says, I'm sorry. Don't ever apologize, Mike, man. One of our most loyal subs. He says, I'm sorry, but a bit off topic, Tana, but I can't wait for basketball this year. This could be listen, you and me both, man. How about the Mets, by the way? I've been watching. I don't know if they were winning 2-1 before we went live. They won they were half game out of the playoffs.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that to me last night. The Mets are right there.
The Mets are right there, half game out of the playoffs. So I'm excited for that with about
20 Braves. Is that who they're behind?
Half game behind the Braves, and they have now creeped to within 3 games of I think it's the Diamondbacks. So, and the Diamondbacks kind of went on like a really big hot streak where they won like 20 out of 25, like something obscene. And now they're starting to come back down to earth. They've lost like 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5. So if the Mets keep winning games, they might sneak in a year where I did not expect it before the year started. So for me, obviously, as a Yankee fan, you guys are thinking World Series, but as a Mets fan going into the year, no spending, nothing, coming off as disappointing of a year as they did the year before, for them to even be playing meaningful baseball going late into the year, it's been fun. So I hope they keep it up. But Mike, to go back to, and the Mets are winning 7-3. There you go, Ronell. Thank you for letting me know. But to go back to by the way, Francisco Lindor, I said it like 2 shows ago. He is not, and he's not going to win the MVP because obviously what's his name?
Otani.
Otani's insane. The quickest guy ever to 40-40. Francisco Lindor quietly is having an MVP type season. The guy had another home run tonight. He plays shortstop, plays great defense, got 30 home runs now. He's got almost 30. He's been great for the Mets this year. By far his best year as a New York Met. He's been great. It's been fun to watch him play. But to go back to the Knicks stuff, Mike, yeah, I'll definitely try to. I'm not going to do it daily, but I'll try to throw in some Knicks games here and there this year. I can't wait to watch the Knicks. I want to go to a couple of games at the Garden. Definitely the most excited I've been preseason for a Knicks team probably since the last time they went to the finals. So not probably, definitely. That's how high the expectations I think should be for this Knicks team going into this year. So I can't wait.
They might have the best chance of any New York team to actually win a championship.
I think they do.
The Yankees aren't winning the World Series. They're going to get knocked out in the first round of the postseason. They're not a good team. They're not good. They're a two-man show. Judge and Soto. That's it. Their pitching is shaky. Their back end of their bullpen sucks. And you get past Judge and Soto in that lineup, what do you got? Stanton can definitely be a guy that can carry a team for weeks. He's that good. But he can also look like he's swinging with his eyes closed. And then what do you got? Verdugo. Austin Wells has played well, but depending on Austin Wells, Volpe, he's another guy that's he's rather red hot or ice cold.
I was stunned. And again, you watch the Yankees religiously. I watch them every now and again when there's nothing on TV. I remember early in the year, the opposite of Judge, Volpe started off really hot. Like I remember watching like a Yankee game a month in. I'm like, wow, he turned it up this year. He's batting like 320. I saw him like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I turned it. He's batting like 220, 230.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get pull happy. And
he fell off this year, huh?
Beginning of the year, he was hitting the ball the opposite field and up the middle. Glaber's starting to hit better. Glaber leading off does well, but I just don't. The Yankees are they're too all or nothing, and their fielding sucks. Like they really suck at fielding. Maybe not errors wise. They make so many misplays that they misread balls. They Trevino can't throw anybody. I don't believe in the Yankees one bit. I really don't. I think they might win the division. They might not. They're going to get knocked out in whatever first round it is. They're not going to beat the Orioles. They're not going to beat the Astros. They're not going to beat Cleveland. They're not going to beat anybody.
How about Baltimore? Baltimore's been good. But they
won't beat the Orioles. They won't beat any teams.
It does feel like the same type of team that they've had that they haven't been able to get over the hump when they get into the playoffs. As great as Judge and Soto are, two of the best power hitters in all of baseball, it still has that same vibe. Like it's not a lineup built for playoff baseball.
Postseason, the Yankees are trailing 2-1 in the top of the eighth, and there's a guy on first base. Soto's on first. Do you think they're pitching a Judge?
No chance.
They're doing that and saying, "Go ahead, Austin. Well, you do it."
No.
Come on. I mean, this is what's going to happen. They've already walked him with guys on base. I mean, he's got 18 intentional walks. So you don't mess with him. So he can't do anything when he's walked. Other guys got to step up. I just don't. I don't trust this team, and especially with the manager. I can't stand the manager. I think he sucks.
And I saw a couple of people in the chat talking about Kafka. Afghanistan says Kafka is damn near worthless. I mean,
he's not worthless. He gets Joe Shana's Starbucks. I told you.
I mean, at this point, Kafka's what? Well, who was it again? It was I always forget who it was. Shula, right? Was the OC when Shermer was the head coach?
Yeah.
It's the same thing there. He didn't call the plays, so it's the same dynamic. The head coach is the play caller. But yeah, obviously Kafka got demoted. And I think we all saw this coming. Like when Dable took the job, it was pretty obvious that probably by year 3, that's what I predicted. I think a lot of people probably did. He was going to be the play caller. I think it made sense for him not to be the play caller initially because he had never been a head coach before. That's an experience in itself, right? He's learned over his first 2 years in terms of how to manage a football team. Now he could put a little bit more on his plate. So that's why he got the job in the first place. So I'm glad and happy as a Giants fan that he's calling the plays now. His job's on the line. He knows it, and he's going to live and die with him being the decision maker on the offense. It's what's got him there. So, I think it was the right call. But, Kafka probably going to struggle to get a promotion from within the NFL. We saw Eric Bieniemy struggle with it for years because he wasn't the play caller for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's hard to get a head coaching job if you're
And
not.
then he goes to Washington, and he was terrible. So
yeah.
It is what it is, man. But yeah, Kafka gets Shane a Starbucks. We know Shane likes Starbucks. So he says, go get me a caramel frappuccino. Go get me a cinnamon dolce latte. Go get me a mocha, white mocha. I love the white mocha chocolates. Those things are good. I like Starbucks. I know shame in my game. I like Starbucks on Saturday. Every time when I go to Disney World, every time I walk by one, I go get one. Because I don't care about my diet when I'm on vacation. So every time, well, not every time, but more often than not,
You're a Starbucks guy.
I'm a Starbucks guy. It don't matter. I just like coffee. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy.
I never got the Starbucks craze, and obviously I'm in the minority on this because every time I drive past the Starbucks, there's like a 20-minute wait to get a cup of coffee.
Good coffee. I'll be honest, the best coffee up here. And anybody that's in my area or Vermont, you know this place. It's a convenience store. It's a chain of convenience stores called Stewart's. That is the best coffee. I swear to God. My wife and I went, was it yesterday? We went out. We just went down to the shopping a little bit, down south a little bit. And we stopped at Stewart's. And I hadn't gotten coffee there. And they had like a maple something coffee. And I'm like, I gotta get that. And it was so good. I'm like, I forgot how good Stewart's coffee. I swear to God, it's really good. It's not expensive either. It's much cheaper than the other ones. You just gotta go in and get it yourself.
Now,
I know. I like Starbucks. I like Dunkin' Donuts. I just like coffee, Chris. I don't care.
How do you drink your coffee? I have graduated over time, and as you could tell, I'm a coffee-aholic. Every time we do a live stream, I'm drinking a coffee. Like, I love coffee. During my work days, I drink 4 cups, like 3 or 4 cups.
I'm the same way.
I have a bad addiction to coffee. I'll be the first to admit it. I have graduated to just black. Like, I don't put milk in it. I don't put sugar. I drink it black.
I put sweetener in it. I can drink it black, but I know cream, but I like sweetener in it because I like sweet. Obviously, I mean, you see everything I drink is 0 sugar stuff, and I just love the sweetness. But I can drink it black. I prefer sweetener, but no cream, except for, like I said, when I go to Starbucks, there's obviously cream in it. It's my cheat day. Or Dunkin' Donuts has butter pecan, which is like my favorite thing. I love me some butter pecan coffee. I just like coffee, man. It can be regular coffee, butter pecan, maple pecan. I don't care. Just give me coffee.
Sometimes, guys, we ramble a little bit. We go into coffee talk. It happens. We went from Mets to Knicks to coffee. Soon we'll be talking about pizza bagels. I don't know. I haven't seen a pizza bagel in forever. It just came to my head. Dr. Danny Guns, man, thank you so much for the 99-cent donation. And Dr. Grape says, go buy something. You just paid for my coffee tomorrow. I'm going to stop. I'm not stopping at Starbucks. I'll go Dunkin', but you just paid for my coffee tomorrow, Dr. Grape. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here, man. Let's see.
I don't know. You live down in the city pretty much. I can't imagine that. It would have to be like a $6.99 donation.
It's not $1.99. I was being
no, that's what I'm saying. Like up here, it's like $4.99.
$1.99 will buy you like a shot of coffee. It ain't
if you want a shot of espresso in it, that'll get you. I gotta imagine down there where you are, it's even worse. It's just
Kafka delivers the medium. So yeah, that's pretty much what he's gonna be doing this year. And Will, what's going on? Good to see you, Will, man. Thanks for popping in the stream. Bill says, I like my coffee black like my men from the old Airplane movie.
Yeah.
Classic. Leslie Nielsen, right? That classic movie. Lake Nona, what's going on, man? Let's see. Gregory says, gotta try French press and grind your beans. I'm gonna tell you, I rarely go there, but I actually don't hate McDonald's coffee. I think McDonald's coffee is a bit underrated.
I don't know that I've had McDonald's coffee.
I like McDonald's coffee.
I never go to McDonald's.
I will drive by McDonald's when I'm on a road trip, and I will just go there for the coffee.
I never eat McDonald's. My kid does. I don't
eat McDonald's, but I drink the coffee.
Gotcha. The last time I went to McDonald's, and it was probably the only time in the last 2 years. My wife went to the Justin Timberlake concert. It was in Boston, so she stayed overnight. And it was just me and little bad dog, and we had a great day. We wanted to go swimming, but it was freaking raining and it was cold. We were in the pool for like 20 minutes. My ears started. I'm like, buddy, I gotta get out of it. And we went to McDonald's and got something to eat. And I got a quarter pounder. And I hadn't had one in forever. And I told him, like, he goes, you probably don't like that, huh, Dad? I go, no, actually, buddy, this is better than I thought it would be. Sometimes you just expect it to be bad. I'm like, this actually wasn't horrible. I won't eat there again, but if I'm going to eat hamburger, I want to go to Five Guys.
Oh, you can't go wrong with Five Guys. Can't go wrong with Five Guys. And Bill, thank you so much, Bill. He says, get your coffee, Chris. Well, with today's prices, you just paid for a small coffee for me, Bill. I really appreciate it, Bill. I'm not going to be able to afford the milk, but I don't put milk in it anyway. But Bill, man, I really appreciate it, man. One of the best supporters on this channel. Always nice to me, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on my channel. Danny, thank you for being a member for 41 months. He says it's $8 here for coffee here in the Bay Area. Let's go. I am not surprised, man. The Bay Area is, New York's ridiculous too, Danny. Don't get it twisted.
California, New York are the two highest.
Insane. Like the gas price. Whenever I see like the gas prices in California, like my jaw drops. Like I remember like a few years ago, it was like over $6 a gallon. Like insane. Lord Commander says, I'm Italy, and I have I'm Italian, I think he meant to say, and I have 4 to 5 espressos that can't go wrong with a good espresso, man. No. Luke, what's going on?
When I go to Delmonico's, I get me my midnight espresso, which is like an Irish coffee, but it's not quite Irish. You don't use Bailey's cream there. And you know me, I always say I get a chocolate martini. I am not above being bougie now and again and treating myself.
You're a chocolate martini guy?
When I went,
I would have never pictured you.
Years ago, I did a 24-hour stream. This was a couple of years ago, and my wife, I love Delmonico's. Right, Delmonico's is a nice steakhouse. It's my mom's favorite restaurant. So a lot of times for her birthday, we take her there, or for Mother's Day, whatever, you know. And the one night I told my wife, I don't know why. I'm like, I want a chocolate martini. I don't know why I never had one in my life. Never. I don't know what the hell that came into my head for. Probably because I was up for 24 straight hours and I slept for 3 hours. I just want a chocolate martini. And I got it. And I'm like, this is freaking good. And the Delmonico's a little heavy-handed on the vodka. So now every time I go, this is my routine. I get my bruschetta. Every time I get a chocolate martini. I always order filet mignon. Normally what we do is I'll order veal. My wife will order filet mignon. We'll split it. I always get the side of penne. With dinner, I have a 22-ounce Peroni. Right? I get my Peroni. And then dessert, I either get a cappuccino pie or a cannoli, and I get another chocolate martini. This is the way I roll.
That's your routine. It doesn't happen often. That's your routine.
That's my routine. And we don't go on. It adds up. It adds up. Those things are $15 a rip. So it adds up. We don't go there very often. So when I do, I got to leave it up a little bit.
Luke says, let's say if Jones gives us a top 15 quarterback season and a winning record for the season, would you? No. Let's be realistic, Luke, because at that point, Luke, the way I look at the Jones situation is this. I know his contract is what it is the following year, but the question you have at the end of the year, if you're Joe Schoen and the New York Giants, can you replace Daniel Jones with a better quarterback option, whether it be in the draft or whether it be for the amount of money that you would save by cutting him? It's about $19 million. We've seen what quarterbacks go for in today's market. So if you're not getting him in the draft, if Jones has a year, like you said, he's a top 15 quarterback and you make the playoffs, he's going to see the third year of the contract. He's not getting an extension. They're not further committing to him. But if he has a year like that, they make the playoffs and he's a top 15 quarterback, yeah, you're going to like to keep him rather than saving $19 million on the cap, because then you're going to have to replace him with somebody. But let's see him do it.
Chris, let me ask you this, because I haven't talked to you since these rumors came out. What do you think about, because these rumors have been rampant, Dak Prescott being a Giant? To me, I don't even understand why you would give Dak Prescott $15 million. Like, where are these rumors? Do you think that's possible that they would cut Daniel Jones and they would?
No. Well, anything's possible. I want to go back to what I said before. Anything's possible. But I want to get the chat's take on this, because I feel like some people may actually be open to that idea. I think most Giant fans.
You're right. When I did this, there was more people I thought saying I would take Dak Prescott. Okay. I would definitely take Dak Prescott.
Let's put our GM cap hat on, though. This is why I would say I don't think Joe Schoen would do it. We just talked about what it would cost to cut Daniel Jones. Right. You're going to have to eat a lot of Jones' salary if you cut him. And at that point, if you're going to cut Daniel Jones, does it make sense to pay Dak Prescott? Because we know if he hits the open market next year, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL on a per year average. It's just the way it works.
$55 million a year.
It's just the way that it works. Would you want to do that? Dak Prescott had Ezekiel Elliott, the best offensive line of football, weapons out the ass since he's been with the Dallas Cowboys.
Amari Cooper, Des Bryant.
He hasn't been able to get to an NFC Championship game.
Right.
So why, if you're Joe Schoen, would you cut Daniel Jones to save $19 million and then spend $60 million a year on a quarterback that's on the wrong side of 30?
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
He's 31 or whatever. It's not like he's much over 30. But I don't get it either. I'm like, he would be on a worse team. So what makes you think he would win more games and win more playoff games in a city that is probably tougher than – well, I don't know. I mean, Dallas has got different expectations. I don't know. The Dallas media is tough, but the national media is tough on Dallas. But you're going from one situation to another, which is worse. And it just doesn't make sense, especially if Daniel Jones is bad. You're drafting a quarterback on a rookie contract. The only thing I can say is this: for whatever reason they did, because they do these way too early mock drafts,
right?
And one name I've seen, and the kid is a freaking beast, is Travis Hunter. I mean, he's amazing.
Right. That's the dude that can play corner and wide receiver, right?
Yeah, for Colorado. Right? He's ridiculous. So, I mean, there's a possibility if Joe Schoen said, "All right, I'm doing this. I want a proven quarterback. My job's on the freaking line. I don't want to take a chance of the rookie. I will pay this freaking guy all this money. And if it fails, it fails. But I'm going to take him, and I'm going to take a guy like Travis Hunter, and then we're going to go.
I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea. I if they do it, I'm going to support it. At the end of the day, I'm a Giants fan. I don't make the decision. I don't see it happening, man. If you're moving on from Jones, I think it's one of two routes you take. If you're moving on from Jones at the end of the year, which I think we both agree is more likely than not. We're not ruling out the possibility that he could be back, but I think it's more likely he won't be back than he will. I think it's one of two avenues. I think it's draft, which is the most obvious avenue if the right opportunity presents itself, or it's get like a cheap get by for 1 year type quarterback, like we've talked about that the Seattle Seahawks did before Geno Smith had his big year. They went into the year with Drew Lock and something like that. As you continue to build the team, I don't see them spending $65 million on a guy like Dak Prescott. I don't see
either. It just doesn't make it.
And obviously, I think the draft would be the more likely avenue if there was a guy worth drafting, of course, or you could trade up to get a guy that you really liked.
Which they will, in my opinion, if they're drafting, say, 8th this year, 7th, and they like a guy, Joe Schoen's going to say, dude, I will give you next year's first. Give me the 3rd overall pick, and I'll take Cameron Ward. I like Cameron Ward. I love Shedeur Sanders. I just don't like that I worry about Shedeur in the city, and I worry about Deion Sanders kind of getting involved with this stuff. I'm not worried about what Sanders does on the football field. I think he's a great athlete.
He gives up those LeVar Ball type vibes.
Yeah, I just worry about him dealing with New York. A young kid, you're going to be making a ton of money. It could be dangerous for a guy like him. So and again, maybe all that aside, just Deion Sanders, he'd be. I love him. I think he's going to be.
I love Deion. Yeah,
I'm saying Shedeur Sanders. I mean, I love Deion.
I like Shedeur too. We'll see. I don't even know where he's going to be, where we're going to be picking and where he's going to be projected to go. But
fucking LeMahieu grounds into a double play. Why does this guy play every night? Can somebody explain to me why DJ LeGround out? DP LeMahieu plays every night. Can somebody explain it to me?
The 9th is my birthday. Well, happy birthday. I would love a win on the 8th. Also, question if DJ plays better than 2022 and win a playoff game. Yeah, we kind of I at least answered. I think Bando kind of agreed.
He's back.
If Daniel Jones makes the playoffs this year and he plays relatively well, he's coming back. Yeah. Like, he's coming back. The $19 million you're going to save by cutting him, you're not going to be able to sign even a halfway decent starting quarterback with that money. And if you're in the playoffs, you're going to be picking late in the draft. So he's coming back for another year, and you're going to continue to build a roster. But
the way I look at this, if he's bad, if he's good and we're picking 21st again, 22nd, I think that the Giants will be drafting a corner or a lineman at that point. I think that's where they would go.
Probably. Yeah, probably. And Chris, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Get an espresso martini. Worth it.
I think that's what Midnight Espresso is. Is
that what it is?
That's a midnight. It's not a chocolate martini, but that's the coffee martini that they have. It's a midnight. It's called a midnight espresso. Coffee beans come in it, and I know my wife dared me to eat the coffee beans, and I did. Giants.
Yeah.
They're not gonna hurt me.
Corey says, what's with Neighbors wearing the? Yeah, I saw that the Giants unretired number one. I mean, to be fair, that guy hasn't played, like you said, he hasn't played since 1935. And the family, I think the Giants asked the family, if I'm not mistaken, and they willingly said, yeah, let's give it to Malik Neighbors. That's cool. I'm okay with it. I don't mind the Giants unretiring numbers from guys that played before the Super Bowl era. I'm okay with that personally. Maybe some Giants fans are not happy about it, but I'm okay with it. It's whatever.
Yep.
And Andrew, what's going on, man? He says, let's effing go. Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. Hopefully everybody's having a good night. And Slink says, the entertainment talking sports, high draft pick equals quarterback. Mid-draft, try and trade up for a quarterback. Cornerback, if you can't. Low draft is I mean, again, Slink, it's way too early. We got to see what the needs on this team is at the end of the year. But yeah, I would think cornerback is probably going to project to be one of our biggest needs outside of course, potentially the quarterback position. So that's a high possibility. If we're picking early, we're going quarterback next year.
Yeah, top 10, we're going quarterback.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, if we don't make the playoffs and we have 6 or 7 wins, we're going quarterback. If we make the playoffs, different discussion.
I really hope DJ is our quarterback next year.
That means we made the playoffs.
As much as I love Cameron Ward,
yeah,
it's still on. It means we're good. I don't want to deal with another 4-win season. I really don't. I want to make the playoffs again. I want to be a winning team. I want DJ. I want Daniel Jones to be the guy. Okay, he's got 2 years. Well, he's got this year. He's like you said last stream or last show. He's going to be on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah,
contracts a year-to-year.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones's best case scenario is he gets another year where they evaluate him. The Giants are not going to just empty the bank account for him at this point. Joe Shane has said it repeatedly that the injury concerns are a major concern for him. Like it's a major red flag. Like play aside, like he has said that repeatedly that is something that he cannot ignore at this point. So outside of Daniel Jones just becoming Josh Allen this year, which I think we all or most of us agree probably will not happen. Best case scenario for Daniel Jones is it's another year of evaluation to see if they want to continue to push. He's kind of in a similar situation, not that he's been near as good, but remember Kirk Cousins, his first time around with Washington, where every year they were kind of like, we'll give him another year. We'll see how it goes. Like it's
they kept franchising him.
Yeah, same thing with Daniel Jones. That's where they're at right now with him. As we all know, LT's number 100. As we all know, LT is the number 1 all-time player.
Yeah, that was obvious.
Number 1.
He's the number 1 player in the NFL. A lot of people in NFL history, some people think so. There's no way he wasn't going to be number 1 in the Giants. I was surprised looking at that list today that Hakeem Nicks was only 97 on that list.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe.
I didn't see the list.
Strahan was 5th. Eli was.
Let me guess. So I missed this list. So they listed the top 100 Giants of all time.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I am not going to know any of the guys that played in like 1940. Like very few.
A lot of the guys on that list were I saw play.
Guys in my lifetime that have to be on the list. Hakeem Nicks, I would think, should be higher. Now, granted, it was short-lived because of the injuries, but he was great for like 2 or 3 years, and obviously was instrumental in the Super Bowl run. Plax has to be on the list, of course. I would guess Plax was what, top 30, top 40? Like he had to be on the list.
I don't know where Plaxico was. Odell Beckham was like 37.
Odell, okay. Victor Cruz just because of that 1 year.
Tiki was 14th, I think.
Odell?
Tiki.
Oh, Tiki, 14th. Okay.
I know Frank Gifford is really high. Mel Hine was 2nd.
Carl Banks has got to be up
Carl
there.
Banks was 17th.
Who Strahan, you said, LT, of course. Yeah. Eli, he's probably top 5, top 6.
8. He's 8th.
Sims, of course.
11th.
11 matches the number.
Yeah.
Harry Carson, he's got to be up there.
Carson was the top 10 guy. I'm pretty sure.
Hall of Famer.
He might have been top 5. He was way up there.
Who? Oh wow.
Tuck was 30th. Tuck was 30th, I think.
Tuck?
Justin Tuck.
OC's got to be in the top 30 or 40, right?
I forgot where OC was. There, I'll look at it.
JPP, Jesse Armstead.
Roosevelt Brown was 2nd. Rosie Brown was 2nd.
What about Chris Snee? He's got to be on that list, right?
Emlyn Tinnell was 6th. That makes sense. Mel Hine was 3rd. Frank Gifford 4th. Harry Carson was 7th. Sam Huff, Andy Robustelli, Y.A. Tittle, Charlie Conley. They were great quarterbacks for my time. Tuffy Lehmans. I remember Frank Gifford mentioning him. Amani Toomer was 16th. Bavaro was 18th.
Bavaro, yeah. Shockey's on the list somewhere, I'm sure.
George Martin was 25th. Leonard Marshall was 26th. Homer Jones was 27th. Brad Van Pelt was 30th. Tuck was 31. Snee was 31st. OC was 32nd. Jesse Armstead was 34th. I'm just reading the guys that were like
Antonio Pierce got to be in the top 100.
He's in there, yep. Odell Beckham was 37. Joe Morris 38. Bart Oates was 41. Those are guys that I remember. Rodney Hampton was 45. Burris 46. Landetta 47. Shockey 48. Otis Anderson.
Surprised. I loved Rodney Hampton as a kid. I loved him. One of my favorite Giants as a kid. I'm surprised Burris isn't ahead of him. And obviously the gunshot probably plays a factor, but I'm a little – Burris was instrumental in the growth of Eli Manning. And to this day, still, in my opinion, the greatest single game I've ever seen a wide receiver have in a New York Giants uniform, the NFC Championship game against the Packers. I'm a little surprised that Burris isn't a little higher on that list. And I know Giants fans still have a sour taste in their mouth, rightfully so, because he cost us potentially another Super Bowl. But I think he should be a little bit higher on that list, actually.
David Deal was 52nd. Tom Landry was 55th. Mark Collins, my guy, was 56. Victor Cruz was 59. Jumbo Elliott 60. JPP 61. Jim Burt 64. Sean O'Hara 65. Keith Hamilton 68. I loved the Hammer.
Loved Hamilton.
Brandon Jacobs was 69th. I'm like, I can't believe he's not higher. He's the all-time rushing leader for touchdowns for the New York Giants, and he won 2 Super Bowls. I'm like, how is he 69th?
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce was 71. Pepper Johnson 75. Gary Reason 76.
What about Antro Roll?
I didn't see him on here.
No.
William Roberts 80. He was a lineman in the 80s and 90s for the Giants, won a Super Bowl. I don't know if he was there in 86. He was definitely there in 90. Green McKenzie, 82nd. Kerry Collins, 83rd. Ahmad Bradshaw, 84. Dave Meggett, 85. Corey Webster, 87.
Good.
Howard Cross, 88. Jason Sehorn, 89.
Deserved it.
He should be higher than that.
I agree. It was short-lived because of injuries, but he was elite for a short period of time. Yeah, should be
Lawrence Tynes, 91. Terry Kennard, 93. I don't know how Eric Howard makes the list. Eric Howard was best known. The only time I really remembered Eric Howard is because he knocked the ball away from Roger Craig in that game against the Niners.
I love Lawrence Tynes, and I understand, and I've talked to him on the show. I love Lawrence Tynes. I'm a little surprised he's in the top one just because he's a kicker. I'm a little surprised he's in the top 100.
Saquon was 95th. Hakeem Nicks 97. Rich Seibert was 100. So those are like the guys, but I'm surprised Jacobs wasn't a little higher. Leading, like I said, being the all-time touchdown rushing leader for the Giants and winning 2 Super Bowls. I thought he'd be in the top 50.
I'm trying to who did I ask you about that I was surprised wasn't on the list? I can't remember now off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Antrell Roll.
Antrell Roll. I would think he would be in the top 100. He was a big part of that 2011 Super Bowl team. Jason Pierre-Paul had to be on there. I didn't hear
he was like 61st. Yeah, he was like
on there. I'm a little surprised Roll didn't make that list. Again, short-lived. I get it, but I don't know. I'm surprised. Top 100. I mean, I think he deserved it. Kevin Boss was a really good Giant, but I don't think he could crack the top 100. I mean, there's been so many great Giants. I mean, he was great. He had that one, obviously several big plays, but the one play that stands out to you is the huge gain he had in the Super Bowl in 2008. What was like 50 yards where he flipped the field. So, but I don't think top 100 as much as I do love Kevin Boss.
Where was Gogolak? He's on here. Of course, Gogolak was the first guy to go from the AFL to the NFL. Where was Gogolak? He was up. He was like the first on the list. Kicker. He's 42nd on the list. Gogolak.
Oh, there you go. And CJ says, I'll be at the Giants first. There you go, CJ, man. Enjoy the game, man. Thanks for being here, buddy. Madison Hedgecock. We're throwing in some fullbacks. Greg Camella, if we're going fullbacks. I mean, I remember when him.
If there was going to be a fullback in that list, it would have been Maurice Carthon. Yeah, that would have been your fullback.
I just remember Tiki and Camelo used to be like best friends.
Yeah. Maurice Carthon was one of the best lead blocking fullbacks you'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Without question. He was kind of like, Moose Johnston, just a little lesser, but Joe Morris had a lot of success because of Maurice Carthon.
They should have a top 100 bust list. Yeah, you
could fill that up quick.
Include free agents, drafts. That would be a good discussion. The top 100.
That'd be interesting. Number one bust. It'd be Cedric Jones.
Cedric Jones has got to be up there. He was a top 5 pick.
Yeah, he definitely would have to be up there.
Eli Apple. I mean, we've done this before.
Eric Flowers would have to be in that list.
I mean, Kenny Golladay, if you're including free agency.
Yeah, Nate Solder.
Like there's so many.
Kadarius Toney would be on the list.
Yeah.
DeAndre Baker would be on the list.
Yeah. Evan Ingram.
Daniel Jones would be on the list right now. For being honest, Daniel Jones would make that list.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. Yeah. Dave Brown.
Derek Brown. Tied down in Notre Dame. That was supposed to be a big one. He sucked. We had some pretty
Evan Neal.
Tyrone
hit that on the head.
Evan Neal, Tyrone Wheatley. He would be on that list.
Oh, Rondane.
I
mean, he was part of Thunder and Lightning for a year, but come on. He was a bust.
He was ass.
Yeah, so there's a lot of guys you can throw on that list.
Yeah, you definitely could. We did some pretty shitty drafting in the 90s. We really did. Jared Bunch, he was a first-round pick. We had some pretty Sonoris Moss. You put him in there.
He was not.
He was pretty ass.
Was not a hit. JJ says, "Bros, I can't wait for week 1. No way we lose this game. I'm not going to say no way, but I am picking us to win this game. I do think it's a game we can win and we should win. I don't care that the Vegas line basically has it as a pick.
Dave Brown. Yep, somebody mentioned Dave Brown. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Top
Dave Brown for sure.
He's a top 5.
And he says, I just got my Wandale, Hyatt, Neighbors, and Banks jerseys. I enjoy collecting jerseys. Well, hopefully those guys stay in the team for another year or two. Because and hopefully you got the Neighbors #1 jersey because he was 9?
I always say do not buy a jersey until the regular season starts because they do change numbers a lot.
Yeah. So hopefully you got the #1 jersey. Maybe it'll be a collector's item though if you got the original number. If he ends up being the greatest Giant of all time.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, Aaron Robinson was a great pile of shit. Yeah, him. I always forget it off the top of my head. The guy that we signed in the whatever the supplement draft or whatever it was called, the other cornerback we wasted a 3rd round pick on.
The guy from Michigan.
We were all excited about him, and he never did anything.
Sam Beal.
Yeah, he's a complete.
Yeah, bust. Sam Beal was ass.
Never amounted to anything.
Terrible.
Will Hernandez bust. I mean, as much as I liked him and wanted to root for him, bust. A lot of bust, man. A lot of bust.
Yeah, that's how you end up being crappy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, we weren't good either. Offensively anyway. Defensively, they were pretty solid.
Say Less says, I wouldn't consider David Wilson a bust. That's a career-ending injury like that. He couldn't affect that, man.
That's a shame what happened to him because that guy was Saquon Barkley before Saquon Barkley. I'm telling you, man, I say this all the time. Last year, the Giants trained in Albany. He was a rookie. And I just remember going to the practices. That's what I would always save my vacation up and take 3 weeks and just go every day, almost every day. Maybe not every day, but I would drive down every day and make the drive. That's free, so you didn't have to pay anything, and you just watch them practice. And they did 2-a-days a lot of times, and it was fun. And they came here in '96. They left in 2012. They haven't been good since they left Albany, and I say it all the time: bring them the frick back here because they have not been a good team since. Bring them back. Yeah, I understand why they left. Rain's here. They lose a practice. You're sleeping on dorm beds. These guys are 6'7", 350. They're not sleeping in a college dorm bed. It's not comfortable. It's not really set up for that. But David Wilson just moved at a different speed than everybody.
He was
never seen anything like it, what that guy was.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking to myself, God, he is going to be so good. And it just never materialized. And then, of course, he had the neck injury and he had to retire. But what could have been with him?
It's just the nature of the league, man. As you're talking
about. I mean, you could call him a bust because he never really amounted to much. But it sucks the way his story ended because
it's hard for me.
I
I
think he
mean,
could have been really good.
yeah, it's hard
He
for me
was
to label him a
really
bust because he never really got a chance,
I know.
because of the injury.
His athleticism was off the chart. He was so ridiculous.
Say Less says, what are the keys to winning? The keys to winning are going to church on Sunday and praying that the New York Giants score more points than the Minnesota Vikings. No, but all kidding aside, I mean, it's the same keys for most weeks for me. I mean, the biggest strength on our team is our pass rush, and obviously the biggest weakness on our defense, or perceived weakness, or most questionable facet, is going to be the corners, and that's the Vikings' biggest strength is obviously their wide receivers. So you can't let Justin Jefferson destroy you, and I don't think Bowen will. Bowen's MO, I said, expected a lot this year, and I definitely expected week one. Giants are going to be giving up a lot of first downs. There's no doubt about it. They're going to play bend but don't break. They're not going to allow Jordan Addison, if he plays, and Justin Jefferson to beat them over the top, and they're going to try to stay strong within the 20. I expect that. I think the Vikings will move the ball 20-20. And the big key in this game is going to be the Giants defense holding the Vikings to 3 when they get into the red zone. But hey, I mean, listen, getting pressure on the quarterback, obviously the offensive line, every week we say it's a key, and Daniel Jones can't lose them the football game,
Right.
period. I don't necessarily think he has to win us this game for us to win. He doesn't have to go out there and be a superhero, but he can't lose us the football game. That's my mindset. I want this to be a very much like a 2022 game where ball control, make smart decisions, try to hit a big play here or there, but don't turn the football over and allow the strength of your team, the pass rush, to win you the football game.
Yeah, to me, Chris, I think a big key for us is turnovers. We didn't get a lot of turnovers last year. We didn't really get them till the end of the year. If we can get some turnovers and get our offense in good field position, it would be nice, because I think you mentioned it before. It seemed like every drive we're starting at our own 20 or 25 yard line. Like every drive you're going 75, 80, 85 yards to score a touchdown. And when your offense isn't really good, it's tough to do that. If your defense can get some turnovers in plus territory and you only got to go 25 yards to score a touchdown, you might get some more points. So I think it's imperative that this year we do get those turnovers. And hopefully guys like Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence can get pressure on the quarterback and either get there and force a fumble or, force an interception, a bad throw, and we can take advantage of a short field, because we didn't get that last year. So I think that's a huge part of it. And then, Daniel Jones has to manage the game. I know it's cliche. It's boring. I get it, but I'd rather win. I'd rather Daniel Jones go, 20 out of 29 for 191 yards and 1 touchdown, and we win the game 23-20, as opposed to Daniel Jones, going 22 out of, or whatever, 25 out of 36 for 307 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions, and we lose the game 27-24.
Yeah.
I'd rather him be boring and win. I can live with that. The 1990 Giants may have been the most boring offensive team you've ever seen in your life. They're my favorite Giants team of all time. Because
you brought up the turnovers, and I couldn't believe it last year when I looked at it last year. This is actually why the Giants, because if you recall, the Giants had 3 or 4 games last year where they had turnovers in bunches. Like they created 5 turnovers, I want to say, against the Patriots. The Giants actually last year led the league in turnovers created. Led the league. They created 31 turnovers last year. They had a plus 12, 18 interceptions, and 13 fumbles recovered. But that goes to show you just how bad the defense was. Because despite that, the fact that they created 31 turnovers,
how many of those were at the end of the year, though, Chris? How many of those were at the end of the year?
They were in bunches, like I said. They had 3 or 4 games where they had 3, 4, 5 it was in during that winning streak. They were creating 4 turnovers a week on average. It was completely unsustainable. But it goes to show you just how bad the defense was. The fact that they had a plus 12 on the turnover differential, and the offense obviously did no favors. But the fact they had a plus 12 on the turnover differential, and they still ranked as one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. If it wasn't for the created turnovers, they would have had an historically bad defense last year, the New York Giants. Historically.
Yeah, but that's when we were winning. That's what they were doing. They were forcing turn. And again, a lot of it came at the end of the year. I know against Washington, we probably had 9 turnovers total. I think we forced 6 turnovers in them one game. We won by 3 points.
Yeah.
So Washington, I know we got a lot of our turnovers against them. But yeah, when they were in that winning streak, they did. They got like 13 turnovers in that 3-game stretch.
Yeah.
So they weren't really consistent. I read also somebody in the chat said David Wilson had fumbling issues. David Wilson fumbled 3 times in 115 rushing attempts. So
he had fumbling issues his first game.
Yes, he fumbled twice, and he didn't fumble again the rest of the year. So I don't know where that stat came from, but it's too bad. He only played 21 games in his entire career.
Yeah,
that was it. And honestly, I mean, in 2012, he was a second team All Pro. I mean, this is where he was. He was a second team All Pro his rookie year. I really wish that he had a chance. He was pretty awesome.
And Blizzard
that is a bold prediction.
That is super bold. I am not going to be that bold. I don't know what his sack numbers are going to be, Blizzard. I could tell you this, and I've said it multiple times. I was more impressed with Kayvon Thibodeau's 4.5 sack or whatever it was, 5.5 sack rookie season than I was his 10 sack second season. That to me is why stats are misleading. He was more disruptive, in my opinion. He had more dominating performance in his rookie year as opposed to his second season. I don't care. I mean, obviously I want sacks, just the team in general, but I don't need him to have 15 sacks, but I need him to be a consistent disruptor this year. I need him to create pressure on the quarterback, and he's got no excuses this year. You got the best interior defensive lineman in football, and you got a partner in crime on the other side in Brian Burns. I expect consistent pressure this year by the New York Giants pass rush, and I'm not talking about shitty offenses. I want to get pressure against Dak Prescott. We haven't gotten pressure on Dak Prescott since his rookie year. I want to get pressure on the Dallas Cowboys for once. This is supposed to be the strength of this team. It's time to show it. It's time to show it.
Chris, I'm just looking at the stats. The last, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. The last 7 games. We were 2-8 at this point. Okay. And we finished 6-11. So they were 4-3. They had 24 turnovers in the last 7 games. That was why they were 4-3. They had 6 against Washington in that one game. They had 4 against Philadelphia. What's that?
I think the Patriot game they had like 4 or 5.
The Patriots. Where was
maybe
that?
Maybe I'm wrong.
They had 3. So against the Commanders, they had 6. They had 3 again. The first 4 games, they did not get 1 turnover.
And they led the league in turnovers created. That's insane.
Not 1. They had 6 against the Commanders, 3 against New England, 3 against Green Bay. They didn't have any against New Orleans. We lost 24-6. They had 2 against the Eagles on Christmas. I think one of those was a special teams turnover, too, if I'm not mistaken. They fumbled the kickoff. We had 3 against the Rams. We had 4 against the Eagles at the end of the year. So 24 turnovers in the last 7 games. And that's when Dane Belton kind of came on. So you're hoping that, again, he kind of has a nose for the football. And, you know, we're gonna need these things. I wish I could see the average starting field position for the Giants last year.
I can tell you that. They have that on Pro Football Reference. I can tell you that. The average starting field position.
Dane Belton had 2 interceptions. He only had 1 fumble recovery. I thought he had a little bit more than that at the end, but he only started 2 games last year, and I think those are the 2 games he had. So he had 2 fumble recoveries.
It's going to be a completely different. I don't expect us to lead the league in turnovers this year simply because I don't think we're going to blitz nearly as much. But I think we're going to be able to generate equal pressure or near equal pressure without sending as many guys as we did last year because of our pass rush. Let's see. But hopefully we do. Hopefully we do lead the league in turnovers again. So last year you asked what the Giants starting field position was?
Yeah.
Let me see. They ranked they were in the middle of the league, actually. They were ranked 16th in average starting field position. They started on their own 28.8 on average. Okay. Some stats that jump off the page. Obviously, the passing stats are going to be egregious. They ranked 31st in yards passing, 28th in passing touchdowns. I mean, they were actually not as bad as you would think. Now, overall, this is what's insane to me, Bad Dog. They had the most created turnovers in the NFL. Most. And I agree, it's misleading. They bunched it over a 6 or 7 game stretch. They ranked 27th as a defense. Like, I would be hard-pressed to find a year where a team led the league in turnovers created and ranked 27th in total defense.
Yeah, it's
That's insane. That's insane.
bad. It's pretty bad.
Insane. Let's see. What's up, Scott, man? And Henry says, I'll be attending the game Sunday. If we win, I'm running on the field.
Wow. Don't do that.
Right, and I don't want you to go to
last year that says the Giants. I don't know where they get this expected win-loss thing. Last year they said the Giants are expected to win 4.5 and lose 12.5. So they actually outperformed that.
Now, when they say that, I'm assuming that's not preseason. That's based off of the way that they played throughout the course of the year. Because I don't think many people
this is expected wins given their points scored and allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not.
I mean, let's be real. They weren't good.
No, definitely not.
And Rodney says, much love. What do y'all think of DJ? I'm going to be honest. Don't know much about him, Rodney. Don't know much about him. Bad Dog, do you know?
DJ Uyunglele, he sucks. He's terrible.
Yeah.
He's terrible. He is terrible, man. No good. No good.
The last 2 times the Giants won week 1, they made the playoffs in 2016 and 2022. Well, let's make it a pattern then, Bliss fan. Let's win week 1. Let's go back to the playoffs. It'd be nice. I don't want to be sitting on the sideline.
We've only won 2 opening day games since 2009, and both of those years we made the postseason.
And one of them was a game both of them were games we barely won. We barely beat the Cowboys. There was something. What happened again at the end of that game? Like it was like a debatable whether he caught it or got the first down, or maybe he didn't go out of bounds. You didn't know there were. I can't remember.
Yeah, Terrence Williams didn't get out of bounds.
That's what it was. And then last year, of course, the missed field goals. 2 years ago, I should say. So, even those we barely won.
Here we go. Here's DJ Uyunglele. Here's the stats. He's been on 3 freaking teams now. Okay. He started with Clemson. Ass. He went to Oregon State last year. He completed 51% of his passes. And now he's in Florida State, who have lost to Boston College. They got blown out, and they lost to Georgia Tech. This is a team that was ranked 10th going into the year. He's terrible. He's not good. No, nothing good comes of DJ Uyunglele.
I don't know much about him.
You don't need to. He sucks.
And Jonathan says,
you don't play at 3 colleges in 5 years if you're any good.
Yeah. Jonathan says, going back to the Kayvon thing, I want him to play every game like he did against Dallas. I mean, I'm not going to set those kind of expectations because he was like incredible in some of those games, but I want him to be more consistent this year. And I think he will. I think Kayvon's good. I think he will, but we'll see.
Kayvon was really good in that game.
Yeah. Let's see. Daniel Jones getting KI. Tyler, I give him whatever it takes. Give him the boost, whatever he needs, man.
Hey, Adam's like a lot older than him.
Is she old? I don't even know. I have no idea.
She's 38. She's 38. So right. Yes. So I was like, she's not too younger than me, or she's not too much. Well, yeah, I guess she is. She's 10.
For him, she's a MILF, but that's okay.
Nope, it says sportscaster. So this is what this says. Sportscaster Kay Adams pokes fun at rumors she's dating Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. So she's not.
Yeah, they're not dating. Let's see.
They have a show together.
Eagles, we got an Eagles fan in the chat. Lord Vaughn. He says, "Fly Eagle Fly on the road to the Super Bowl." I'll believe it when I see it. But
sure.
Good luck.
They're gonna crash and burn on their way out of the playoffs. The first game again.
Listen, we have nothing to talk. You guys have been better than us every year for the last.
Screw them. Screw them. You're losing Friday. Jordan Love's shredding that young secondary, and the Packers are going to stuff Saquon Barkley like a Thanksgiving Day turkey, and I'll be live for it, and I can't wait because I'm going to.
I think the Packers go. I think the Packers are going to win that game. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think the Packers are going to win that game.
Put money on it. Money line.
The Chief says, would you agree that over the past 7 to 8 drafts, the only wide receiver prospects who would 100%, I'd have to look at all the drafts, but let me read the rest of this, would 100% go over Neighbors are Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr. just as well, let's look at the drafts. I mean, just off the top of my head.
Jefferson. Well, he didn't go.
Well, no, not going into the draft, he wouldn't have won above him. I remember people were debating, Eagles fans were debating Jalen Reagor or Justin Jefferson going into that draft.
What about Tyreek Hill?
again, going into the draft, obviously now, yes, but going into the draft, he wouldn't have went above him. Let's see. Let's take a look at the 2015 NFL draft beyond. The first wide receiver taken in 2015, Amari Cooper was a damn good prospect. Damn good prospect. Close. That's close. I would see him and Neighbors are pretty comparable. That's 2015. 2016 top wide receiver taken was nowhere to be found. So the first wide receiver was Corey Coleman at 15. So no, not in that draft. 2017, Corey Davis. No, I think he'd be.
No.
I know he was a good prospect, but I would say Neighbors was more highly thought of. 2018, nobody in that draft. There wasn't a wide receiver.
Usually wide receivers don't go that high. Jamar Chase.
I guess you can make argument. Jalen Waddle and even Devontae Smith, they were really highly thought of. You could at least make that argument. I would have Neighbors above them as possible.
I feel like CD Lamb slipped too far.
CD Lamb is it? Yeah,
I love CD Lamb. I mean, he should have been the first. Jerry Jeudy was the first receiver off the board. We know what happened to him.
Henry Ruggs actually was.
Henry Ruggs. I'm sorry, not Jerry Jeudy. It was Ruggs, Jeudy, and then CD Lamb. And like, why Lamb should have went first.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I saw someone in the chat say, "Bad Dog, why are you talking? The Giants suck." I don't give a shit. You know why I'm talking? Because it's our show, and I will continue to talk shit. And just because the Giants suck, don't mean you're winning a Super Bowl. So get used to it. Get used to it. I will never stop. The Eagles are trash. 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 And they're going to get their ass beat, and we're going to beat them this year, just like we made you tap out last year. Oh, throwing the flag, and then your quarterback called up Wink. Wink, what did you do to me? And Wink tells them they still go out and get their ass beat by the freaking Buccaneers 32-9. You ain't doing it. Yeah, that's right. I'm ready. It's football season, baby.
But to go back to your question, yeah, the only two guys that I would think were like clearly above him were the two guys you mentioned as prospects, Jamar Chase and Marvin Harrison Jr. over the last 7 or 8 drafts. You could argue Jalen Waddle. You could argue Amari Cooper. Like there's a few you could definitely throw in the argument, but he's as good, near as good of a prospect at that position as we've seen in the last 10 years. Now, will he pan out? We'll see. But Odell Beckham was another one. I mean, obviously, but who was a more highly thought of prospect coming out? Obviously, after his rookie year, you go Beckham, but it's pretty close. I mean, Beckham was really highly thought of, and wide receivers.
Waddle was up there. That receiver
there.
class was good. That was Chase, Waddle, and Devontae Smith. They were up. They were all pretty high up.
Julio Jones. I mean, he's a little bit further back than where we were going last. But yeah.
I mean, if you go, you go way back. Calvin Johnson, obviously. But it's hard because wide receivers don't usually go that early in the draft. It is rare to see. When's the last time 2 wide receivers went in the top 6? Was it? No, because Chase went in the top 5, but then the other guys didn't go.
Waddle went like 10. No, I think he went 7th or 8th. Waddle went early, but he didn't go in the top 6. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not.
2 wide receivers in the top 6. Good question. I feel like it's
where.
It's not
6.
often, right?
Well, it was 2021 because I know Jamar. So he must have been picked right after Jamar Chase.
Okay.
But other than that, that was a really good wide receiver class. Other than
this was one of the strongest wide receiver classes in the last 20 years. I mean, just in terms of prospects, like Dunze would have been the first wide receiver drafted probably in like 7 out of the last 10 draft classes.
Yeah, agreed. And then you had a guy like Brock Bowers who was a tight end, but I mean, my God, I mean. He could have been a guy that might have been the first receiver off the board in a lot of.
It was kind of the reverse of the year before. The year before, it was a weak wide receiver class. Like, and not to say there weren't some good, like Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnson hasn't worked out in the pros so far. They were solid, but they weren't guys that you thought of like upper echelon 1A type wide receivers, right? So it was kind of reversed. That was kind of a not so top heavy draft. This one was loaded at the top of the draft at the wide receiver spot.
Yes, it was a lot of.
Stanley says, "Hey, Chris and Bad Dog, why every analyst got the Giants finishing as the worst team in the NFL? Some analysts got the Giants finishing 1-16." Stanley, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. We suck. I mean, in recent history, the Giants have been over the last 10 years. If we're being honest, the Giants have been the worst team in the NFL collectively, if not the worst, one of the worst. So I can't really kill analysts for thinking the Giants are not going to do well this year. 1-16 is obviously very extreme. Like I think you have to have a lot more respect for Brian Dable than that. But listen, I'm going higher, but I can't kill people for thinking the team's not going to do well this year. The team hasn't done well. Yep. Grim says it's got to be embarrassing that even as a pro NFL quarterback for an historic franchise, Jones is so lame that nobody can remotely buy him dating Kay Adams.
No, I can see that. He's got $160 million, man.
Yeah, money talks, man. Money talks.
That'll get you a lot of tail. There's another.
You see some of these old guys when you go to the beach with these supermodels. Like,
well, what about Bill Belichick? What about that one? How about, hey, he's dating someone 50 years younger than him or whatever she is, 40 years younger. I mean, good for him. Yeah. But, man, that money talks. And here, just my point, Yankee fans. Tommy Kahnle should be the closer. I've been saying this forever. Pitches a perfect seventh inning. And now we get freaking Cousins in here who's giving up the fucking lead. Yankees go up 4-1, and he's got to come in here and blow it. The back end of our pen sucks. And that was a bad play out there by Gleyber Torres. This is why. What the hell are you doing, Gleyber?
He's never been known for the...
Dude tries a backhand ball, and you just take a couple steps over, and freaking, he went the wrong way. He broke the wrong way, broke left, and then he had to go back right. All the time. Not an error, but it should be.
And Bill L says, Tana, the Mets on a roll. Hey, listen, I'm looking forward to that Mets-Braves series. I think that's in about 2 weeks. That's the season right there. So I know the Braves are winning tonight, and they should win. They're playing the Rockies, who are awful. They got the Braves won 3-0. By the way, we just played the White Sox, so I couldn't. I mean, I knew they were.
Yeah, they had 107 losses last time.
31 wins right now. 31 wins. Like they're on pace to be the worst team. Yeah. I know, like if you go all the way back, it's like there's worse records, but in like modern day baseball, the 62 Mets are like the worst record.
120 losses.
100. They're gonna crush that.
I can tell you this: the Yankees. I did that whole series against the White Sox. The whole series. My guy Pete usually does Yankee games. Pete was in New York City for business, and he wasn't able to do the games. I'm like, well, he's not here. I'll do the 3 games against Chicago, just so Yankee fans have something to do. They got their ass kicked. The Yankees got their ass kicked the first game, lost like 12-2. And then they barely won the second game. Like they had to come back and win the second game. Then they won the third game. But the White Sox had lost like 25 out of 26 games. And now I think they've lost another 12 or 13 in a row since the Yankee series. It's crazy. They're really bad.
Mets Braves are going to be fun though, man. That's in 2 weeks. That's for the playoffs, man. It's fine. It brings back those late 90s vibes for me, man. Chipper Jones, Andres Galarraga. So it's good. That's always been, I mean, as a Mets fan, that's always been, obviously Yankees Red Sox is on another level, but that's always been my favorite rivalry. Cole says, I'm realizing that you guys have I don't know if you're talking to me, Cole. I don't know if you're talking to Bad Dog Cole, or you're just talking to the chat. I was screaming for Malik Neighbors all offseason. So I loved that pick. Malik Neighbors is ridiculous. Let me read the rest of this chat, though. It's actually going to be, he's one of the greatest wide receiver prospects in NFL history. He's definitely in recent history. He's one of the greatest prospects. There's no denying that. He's special. And he's a baby. I think he was 20 when we drafted him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's young.
He just turned 21.
So I think most Giant fans are well aware how special this guy's going to be. I mean, all you had to do was watch that preseason game. In the preseason game, he made a couple of plays, and he didn't do anything extravagant. He didn't have like a game where people going nuts and calling Kadarius Toney the next Beckham when he had 180 yards against the prevent defense against the Cowboys. He didn't, but just the physical attributes. You saw him go up, and he made 2 or 3 plays where you're like, we haven't seen a wide receiver do that in a Giants uniform since Odell Beckham. So I think most Giant fans realize how special this guy can be. I don't think it's gone over most Giant fans' heads. He's insane. He's ridiculous.
You can be a great prospect. That's awesome. There's a lot of great prospects at every position that come out of college. It doesn't always translate to the NFL. As Giants fan, you have to hope that he lives up to those expectations. And there's a lot of pressure on him. He's a freaking rookie. And the Giants offense is pretty much hinging their offense on what this guy can do.
Yeah.
So let's hope. And then, of course, the Rangers steal a base because Trevino's out there. Trevino can't break a pane of glass.
Yeah. And Spencer says, what is both your hot takes for this year? Yeah, we've been asked that a few times. Ironically, my hot take, I won't go as far to say 20 sacks, but my hot take this year, and I was high on him last year, and statistically, maybe he came close to living up to it. He was the first guy ever in a Wink Martindale defense to have double-digit sacks, but he didn't live up to my expectations last year. I thought Kayvon was going to have a big year. I'm back on the Kayvon train this year. My hot take. Here's my hot take. Kayvon Thibodeau makes a Pro Bowl this year. Hot take's got to be a little bit out of bounds, a little bit hot, if you will. Kayvon Thibodeau makes a Pro Bowl this year. I think he's going to have a big year. He's got Brian Burns on the other side. You got Dexter Lawrence. He's now in a defense that's not going to ask him to drop back in coverage nearly as frequently as he did under Wink Martindale. He's going to be asked to do what he does best, and he's got a partner in crime. I think Kayvon Thibodeau is in for a monster year. Pro Bowl year for Kayvon Thibodeau.
I have two. Wandale gets 1,000 yards receiving, and the Giants' offensive line is around average.
Yeah.
Those are my hot takes. And if the Giants' offensive line is around average, Wandale Robinson should have 1,000 yards receiving. So those are my hot takes. And like Chris said, if my hot takes come true, we're going to the postseason.
No doubt about it. If the offensive line's league average and we stay remotely healthy, I think we're going to the playoffs. Let's see. Neighbors' game translates at the NFL better than Harrison's, although both guys are very translatable. I think that's a fair. I mean, a lot of it depends on the offense that you go to, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair opinion. But what I'll say about Marvin Harrison Jr., and I know like he may be built like a Quentin Johnston, like your prototypical like 6'3", 6'4" guy. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not that type of wide receiver that's exclusive in the. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an incredible route runner. His body control is insane. Like, he's very translatable too. But I get what you're saying. He's kind of got that Tyreek Hill type. Not that he's quite as fast as Tyreek Hill, but he's got that Tyreek Hill type of flexibility, or Odell Beckham type of wide receiver where he's capable. Antonio Brown, more of the modern day wide receiver, a guy that you could move around all over the field. He's capable of playing in the slot. He's capable of taking the top off the defense. He could do everything. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Harrison, to me, his game, and again, I didn't watch him as much as this guy, but I think he's comparable to CeeDee Lamb. I mean, that's where I think he is. CeeDee Lamb can do everything. He is not a prototypical burner. He's not a 4-3 guy, but he's fast enough. And he does everything. Body control for Marvin Harrison is ridiculous, much like it was for CeeDee Lamb. The catch radius is ridiculous, much like it was for CeeDee Lamb. His hands are awesome. Marvin Harrison is, he's got great genetics. I mean, his dad's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He'll be great if Kyler Murray can stay healthy. I mean, he's
a better prospect than his father was.
Yeah,
doesn't mean he'll be a better pro.
Right, he's special. No question. Kyler Murray stays healthy, they can do some damage there. And it's the same thing with Rome Odunze. Like, I'm very interested to see how Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze do this. And they have DJ Moore. But I think, you know me, I love Rome Odunze too. There was 3 really good receivers there. And I remember Hard Knocks, they brought them all in the room at the same time. And the guy said, "Can we draft all 3 of you?" But it was obvious the Giants wanted Malik Neighbors. So it's good. It's good.
I think it'll be a lot like who do you mean will be a lot like Devontae? Which one of the 3?
Let me go. I gotta run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, you go to the bathroom. I'm gonna talk to the chat, man. Hot take: Banks gets cooked this year badly. I mean, Nightfall, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I like Banks, and I think he projects to still be a good corner in the NFL, but I mean, he doesn't have a lot of help on the other side. I mean, do you really believe in Adoree Jackson? Or we'll see with a guy like Cordell Flott, maybe he could develop, but he's going to be asked to be going up against the best wide receiver every week. So it's going to be trial by fire. So I wouldn't be surprised. Although, like I said earlier in the stream, I don't think the Giants are going to get burnt a ton over the top because I think Bowen's going to play a lot of bend but don't break. But I could certainly see Banks having some struggles this year. Let's see. Scott says, hotter take: Philly and Dallas will be will be trash this year. I hope you're right. I don't know if I agree, but I hope you're right. Let's see. Henry says, hot take: Giants win week 1, 33-10. I hope you're right. I don't expect that, but I do think we're going to win. I am good. All right, let's start a score prediction. Let's get a score prediction in the chat as well. I'm going to go. I think the Giants are going to have to put up some points. 24-20 Giants. I think it'll be a pretty close game, but I do think the Giants get a win week 1.
Yeah, I'm right in that area. I'm going
Yeah.
to say 24-23 Giants, and Graham Gano kicks the game winner at the end of the game.
I could see that. I could see
24-20
that.
Giants.
I could see that. Let's see. Let's see. Closer than it needs to be. 24-21. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we got to be real. We're a 1-point underdog. So if we win, we should be happy. But
Yeah. I don't care if we're a 10-point favorite.
Yeah, I think it's
happy at this point.
I think it's clearly a game we can win for sure. Let's see. Toe says insane hot take. Neighbors becomes the first wide receiver to hit 2,000 yards.
Well, Daniel Jones will be back if that happens, because Daniel Jones will be throwing for about 4,000 yards.
What Calvin was the closest, right? He had that year where he had like
1,900, whatever.
Yeah, and if I recall that year, it's one of the most insane statistical years ever because he had almost 2,000 yards receiving, and I think he only caught like 5 touchdowns that year. Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, 1,954 yards. Yep, he had 5 touchdowns.
Like that's nearly impossible. How do you have 2,000 yards receiving and only 5 touchdowns?
I don't know.
If I remember that year, Stafford was awful, like inside the 20. Like he threw a lot of interceptions inside the 20. But like that's like nearly impossible to have 2,000 yards receiving and only have 5 touchdowns.
Cooper Kupp at 1,947 in 2021.
Yeah, that's right. He hit the Triple Crown that year, I think. What most catches? Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he did, or at least he had a chance to late into the year.
No, he did 145 receptions, 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, insane.
That's crazy because he's only had one other year where he had 1,000 yards receiving, and it was 1,100 in 2019. So
that year though may go probably the greatest single year by a wide receiver in NFL history. I mean, when they won the Super Bowl, did he win the MVP in the Super Bowl? I can't remember. Was it?
No, I forgot who won the MVP.
I might have been him. It was either him or Stafford.
All I know is he beat Eli Apple, and it made me happy.
I think Kupp won the Super Bowl MVP. He won the Super Bowl. He hit the Triple Crown. That may go down as the greatest single year ever by a wide receiver in NFL history.
That's pretty damn good.
I mean, obviously Jerry Rice has had some insane years, but Randy Moss, the 20, what do you have, like 24 touchdowns that one year when the Patriots went undefeated. But that's up there, man.
Rice had 1,848 in 1995. He had 15 receiving touchdowns that year. Right. I mean, the thing about Jerry Rice, Randy Moss had 23 receiving touchdowns in 2007, broke the record, but he had 16 games to do it. In 1987, when Rice had 22, there was 3 replacement games and they missed the game. So he only played 12 games because that's all the NFL players got that year. And he had 22 touchdowns in 12 games.
That's crazy.
Jerry Rice did.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Isaac Bruce had one insane year too, if I remember. Like his second year in the pros, he had like almost 1,900 yards receiving. Yeah, there's been a handful of like insane years, but that's got to be. Antonio Brown had a number of incredible years, of course Beckham, but I think that Kupp year certainly, at least there's an argument that one year, but like you said, he only had one incredible year. But it was an incredible year. Let's see. My hot take is our punter could place a punt in the coffin corner for once. I hope you're right, man, because he is not.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Let's see. Who's the quarterback? Oh, he's talking to Toe. I thought he was talking to us. Saquon is a monster. I'm so happy the rest of the league gets to enjoy his gift utilized at a higher level.
Sure.
It'll be short-lived, but I'm sure he's going to play well this year. I mean, he's got a great offensive line and a great wide receiving core to support him. So if Saquon isn't great this year, like what are you doing?
Whatever you say. He's going to be that much better than DeAndre Swift was.
What did Swift? I don't even know. Did Swift had a big year last year? I don't even know.
I'll tell you what he did last year. DeAndre Swift had 1,049 rush. He only ran the ball 229 times. So he averaged 4.6 a carry, 1,049 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Is he going to?
He's gonna be better than that if he's healthy, which that's a big question mark. But he's gonna be better than that.
Yeah, but how much better than that? I mean, Kellen Moore, is he going to? How about DeAndre? I'm sorry. How about the year before? How about Miles Sanders? He had 1,269 yards, averaged 5 yards a carry.
And then Carolina paid him. Big mistake.
Right. And then he sucked.
Yeah.
But
Jonathan says, who's y'all's Super Bowl? We should do this right before the year starts. We'll see who's closer at the end of the year. I'll let you start. Give me your NFC representative.
The Niners.
You going chalk. You can't go wrong with the Niners. Like on paper,
Niners have to get there again.
Yeah, I mean they're loaded. Obviously, the Ayuk thing's a bit of a distraction.
The Lions have an outside shot. That'd be my dark horse to reach a Super Bowl. But I'm
gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun. I am all aboard. Like the year before Josh Allen took off, I was all aboard the Josh Allen train. I thought I didn't know he was gonna be that good, but I thought he was gonna break out. I am all aboard the Jordan Love train. Like, I think Jordan Love could win the MVP this year. Like, that's how high I am on him. I'm picking the Packers. And I know that's a hot take because everyone's going to go the Lions. They're going to go
got a tough division. I mean, that's a tough division.
They are in a tough division. A lot of the Bears are going to be better this year. Of course, the Lions are, had a great year last year. They're one of the favorites. I'm going Packers, man. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm outside the box team this year in the NFC. AFC. Let's see. I mean, how do you not pick the Chiefs? It's boring, but how do you not pick them?
Well, I'm not going to pick them.
Yeah.
This is finally the year Lamar Jackson goes to the Super Bowl. I'm going to pick the Ravens to make it there. So we'll have a rematch of Super Bowl 47. Ravens Niners.
I think I have to go Chiefs. Let's list the Super Bowl contenders in the AFC. Like, obviously, some teams much more likely than others. Chiefs are clearly a Super Bowl contender. Ravens are clearly a Super Bowl contender. Do you list if Rodgers stays healthy? Are the Jets a Super Bowl contender?
No,
they're a playoff contender, but not a Super Bowl contender.
If there's a Super Bowl contender in that division, it's the Dolphins.
You have the Dolphins as the top team in that division.
I think so.
I know Giants fans aren't going to hear this. And by the way, the Jets will always jet, like you said. I would never pick them to go to the Super Bowl.
It's already happening on Reddit.
I think the Jets are a Super Bowl contender. I think they're one of the 4 most likely teams in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl going into the year.
I can't pick the Jets. They're the Jets.
If they stay healthy, but they
have a great team. Don't get me wrong, but they're the Jets. It's like the Mets. Something always happens bad for them.
Yeah.
Always. Last year was Rodgers getting 4 stats where he tore his Achilles or whatever it was, his knee, whatever the hell he tore. It's the Jets.
Something will happen. You're right. You're right.
Do everything like you do a lot of things right, and it never like the Mets. It just never pans out for them for whatever reason. They're snake bitten.
All right, now
they're a really good team, but
give me your surprise shit team. Like this team going into the year. People are high on
the Raiders. The Raiders are always
really high on the Raiders.
I don't think so. You said surprise. Oh,
no,
you mean
I'm saying a team
bad. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you meant team that everybody's picking to be bad.
I'm gonna give you mine, and then I'll let you think.
The Bills.
That's not a bad one at all. Stephon Diggs, the Jets, the Dolphins, tough division. That's not a bad one at all.
The Bills.
Hot take here. And it's not because I don't love him. I think he's great, but I think there's a regression with that team this year. I think they overachieved. Houston Texans. They're my team that I think people are too high on this year. They come back to the mean a little bit.
Kind of like we did.
Kind of like we did.
I'll give you another one. The Eagles.
I love it.
The Eagles can definitely be a shit team because people just say, we got Saquon. Saquon does not fix your defense. A team that they lost 7 of the last 8 games. They got their ass kicked 7 of the last 8 games. They won games at the beginning of the year that were not impressive. They should have lost to Buffalo. If Gabe Davis turns the correct way, the game's over. If Marquez Valdez-Scantling don't drop a pass when they're playing the Chiefs, they lose that game.
Yeah.
So their defense all year is bad. They didn't really do much, so they added Devin White. They have 2 rookie corners. They have a new defensive coordinator. They lost Jason Kelsey. They have a new offensive coordinator. And they have a tough schedule. They got to play our division. They play the AFC North. I can see them taking a big step back, especially if Barkley gets hurt. Right? I mean, if Barkley gets hurt, I mean, where are they going?
Yeah,
I could definitely see the Eagles taking a step back and winning 7 games, which would make my whole year.
Wow, that's a hot take.
It's not likely, but you gotta love it, Chris. Screw the Eagles, man.
And by the way, I see a lot of people standing up for CJ Stroud. I freaking love CJ Stroud, and that's a hot take. That's why I said, "Who's your surprise shit team?" I think most people are going to pick the Texans to win at least 10 games this year. That's why I'm like, I think they come a little bit back to the pack. Stroud's incredible. I think Stroud's going to be a top 5-6 quarterback in the league for a long time. I don't know. It's just
not putting to rest my Ohio State quarterbacks are no good.
Yeah. Just
putting that one.
Who? All right, let's go. Let's take the Giants out of this. Because we don't want to give the homer pick. Who's the surprise team this year for you? The team that people are saying 6-7 wins. They're going to win 10 plus. Like last year, the Lions. I mean, well, most people are high in Lions, but not that high. The Packers, I think they kind of outkicked the coverage a little bit. I'm sure that I'm not thinking off the top, man. I'm sure there's a couple of the Browns. I mean, after Watson got hurt, I don't think many people thought they'd win 11 games or whatever they won. Who's your shocker this year?
There's a couple. I mean, the Bears could be much better.
Could be tough division, but could be.
I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. I just Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray could definitely be something special. Nobody pays any attention to the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah. And outside, I mean, I think that division, obviously the Niners are the class of division, but there's no reason that the Cardinals can't be better than the Rams or the Seahawks. So the Cardinals are probably a team that nobody's really high on, nobody's really talking about, but I think they could surprise some teams. They were really bad last year, obviously, but they were able to beat. I'm pretty sure they beat the Cowboys and the Eagles, right? I know they beat the Eagles. Did they beat the Cowboys too? I think the Cardinals beat every team in this division except for us.
They did beat the Cardinals. They
should have beaten us.
They did beat the Eagles.
And they should have beaten us. They should have beat us too. So that's kind of I think that'd be my surprise team there.
I keep landing on the Steelers when I say this. I don't know why. I probably shouldn't. I just have too much. I don't know. I feel like the Steelers are gonna be good this year, but I will go somewhere else. My surprise
are always at least decent though. They're not
that's why it's kind of hard to say the Steelers because they're always like at least an 8 or 9 win team.
The Broncos. I mean, I'm not a big believer in Bo Nix. He's like good.
That's why, like, is Bo Nix really going to be that guy? Like, but I feel like Bo Nix this year, he's going to have like a Gardner Minshew type year. That's what I envision. Like Gardner Minshew's rookie year, where he had a pretty good statistical year. He dinked and dunked down the field when his team trailed in a lot of games, and he put up good stats. I could see Bo Nix having a year like that. But do I see the Denver Broncos in that division winning more than 7 games? I feel like that's tough. That's a tall order.
I'll tell you another one, and I don't like saying this, but Washington could surprise. Washington could surprise. They can't beat us, but they can surprise. They have to. I hate saying this, but it has to happen once, right? I mean, and we have to beat Dallas once. Like it has to happen. We have to beat Dak Prescott eventually, right? So I don't know, but I think the Cardinals would be my surprise there.
Well, I haven't even looked at the prediction, like the over-unders. What is the consensus on the Chargers? Where do people have them? What's their over-under? Somebody in the chat, let me know. I am the biggest Jim Harbaugh fan in the world. I think he's one of the top 3 coaches in the league. And I know a lot of people are going to be down on the Chargers. Rightfully so. I understand it. They got rid of all their weapons. What's their over-under? I think they're going to win 10 games. I think the Chargers are going to be good. I believe so strongly in Jim Harbaugh.
Wow, they have the Packers as the number 2 power ranked team in the league this year to start. I mean, you can take that word. So they have the Chargers 18th on this list, and the Giants are 29th. The Raiders are 31st. Again, like I said, Antonio Pierce had the team playing really well. I mean, I know the quarterback situation sucks, but I can see them surprising as well. That is a tough division, so. But they always play the Chiefs well.
This is the year where I think Justin Herbert, and he's not going to put up like the insane stats that he did because the team's not built that way. But I think this is the year where Justin Herbert starts to ascend into that upper echelon that people have projected for him. Because Harbaugh's track record with quarterbacks and the talent that Justin Herbert has, I don't know. I'm a believer in the Chargers this year. Now, it's hard to say higher than 10 wins because the Chiefs, like the AFC West is tough. The Raiders are solid. But yeah, I'm on the Chargers bandwagon this year. I think they can win 10 or 11 games.
They have the Cowboys ranked 10th. They have the Eagles ranked 11th. They have the Dolphins 14th.
Is this
the Bills 4th? I can't. That's CBS Sports. I can't see the Bills being ranked 4th.
Is this the year where the Cowboys finally dip a little bit? Like every year, you can pencil the Cowboys in for like second round. Is this the year where they finally dip a little bit?
I think the Cowboys and Eagles both take a step back, and Washington and the Giants both take a step up. I don't think Washington and the Giants are going to win the division, but I think it gets much more competitive. And I think next year this division will be completely up for grabs. I think 2025 this division will be completely up for grabs.
Depends on the quarterback, right? It depends on the, do we still have Jones? But
I still think it's up for grabs. If we're good enough that Jones is here, we should be good enough to compete for the division next year.
Yeah.
If we have a rookie quarterback, he's going to come into a much better situation than Jones did. And I still think it's going to be up for grabs because everybody will be saying that Daniel Jones is the freaking weak spot of this damn team. So you're gonna upgrade there.
Let me get the chat's take. I think there's some people that are so done with Daniel Jones that they don't care what he does this year. Like he could throw 35 touchdowns, the Giants can win 13 games, and they want him replaced.
Yeah, I agree.
But I want the chat's take on Daniel Jones this year. What does he need to do to be the starting quarterback going into 2025? What does he need to do? What's your year? What year do you say at the end of the year? Okay, they're going to bring him back for another year and they're going to continue to build the team. Because there is a scenario where that happens. So what needs to happen, in your opinion, in the chat's opinion, for Daniel Jones to be the starter going into 2025?
Someone says stay healthy. That's a good start. Stay healthy is a good start. For me, Chris, he has to. He said this last year. Oh, you're 3-3 in the division, but he wasn't 3-3 in the division. I think he needs to beat the freaking Cowboys, and he's beaten the Eagles a couple times, but I feel like he needs to play well within the division, and he needs to have a better year than he did in 2022. Like we need to have a winning record, whether we make the postseason or not. 9 wins at least, and Daniel Jones needs to show that he can actually lead teams to touchdowns. He needs to show big play capability, and he needs to progress from this one read hesitation quarterback shit. He needs to show that he has good instincts to me. Yeah. I don't care about his statistics. Daniel Jones, I would take Jameis Winston like numbers from Daniel. I'm being dead ass serious. I obviously don't want him to throw 25 interceptions, but if he just plays football, and he throws 34 touchdowns, and he throws 17 interceptions, I can live with that. 34 touchdowns, 17, I can live with this. He has to be able to throw touchdowns. It has to happen. Yeah. He has to be able to throw touchdowns. We have to score touchdowns. He needs to prove he's a leader on this offense. He needs to have games like he did in 2022 where we came from behind and won games. He needs this stuff. He needs to be consistent. Not, oh, he has a really good game one week, and then the next week he throws 3 picks and he gets sacked 6 times because he's holding on to the damn ball. I think consistency is a big part of Daniel Jones.
Well, I think that's why we were fans of his 2022 year. Yeah. We wanted more growth the following year, of course, but we saw consistency for the most part, right? He took care of the football. He made winning plays. He got better as the year progressed. We wanted growth off of that. Obviously, we didn't get it. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to continue. Listen, I don't want to put a statistical threshold on it, but because it's so hard to.
I'm not putting any stats,
I don't know what the strategy is week to week with this team, but Daniel Jones needs to give this team a chance to win week to week, kind of like he did in 2022. I expect better stats. I'm not going to put a statistical threshold on it, but he's got to get this team to the playoffs. Healthy. He can't miss time, which has been a big concern for Daniel Jones outside of the 1 year where he had a good year in 2022. He's got to play a full slate of games, which he's not been proven able to do. If he's able to get them to the playoffs, have a slightly better year than he did in 2022. If I'm being honest, I'm not even necessarily saying I want him back. I think he will be back. But that's a tall order. That's a tall order, right? I mean,
he hasn't really proven on a consistent basis he can do that. That's what I'm saying. Consistency is going to be big for Daniel Jones this year. Because even his rookie year, I mentioned this before, he had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. But in 3 games, against the Commanders, the Lions, and the Jets, he threw 13 touchdowns and had no interceptions in those 3 games. In his other 9 games, he had what? He had 11 touchdowns and 12 picks. So again, there's flashes of him being really good, and then there's more often than not poor performances. So he's got to have more good than bad this year. You're going to have bad games, it happens. But he's, if we're playing 17 games, he can have 4 stinkers, and 13 of his games have to be really good. This is how he's coming back. He can't have like 6 good games and 11 bad ones, or 7 good ones and 10 bad. Like, he has to have more good than bad.
I agree with
by a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. And Eric says, I got charged at 9-8, and Daniel Jones used to stay healthy and not take long to throw the ball in the pocket and score. Yeah.
That's a big thing, man.
Start, Eric. Sign me up for that, man. And thank you for being a member, Eric. I appreciate it, man. David, what's going on, man? Hi, Chris and Bad Dog. We're going to end this in about 5 minutes, but appreciate all you guys for being here. David says, hi, Chris and Bad Dog. Couldn't sleep, so I'm glad I could catch you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here, man. Ready for another Giants season, and the Phillies just beat the Blue Jays after being down 6-1 and then 8-4 to win 10-9. Schwarber with 3 homers. Phillies are special this year, man. I hate to say it as a Mets fan. The Phillies, they just keep finding ways to win, man. They've been good all year. So we'll see how they do in the playoffs, but they've run away with this division start to finish. It's kind of like the Mets 2 years ago, where they just start to finish, they run away with the division. They've been really good this year.
Yeah.
Let's see. Good to, Josh. He says, will you be, John, during the season, I'm not telling you I'm going live every day, but yes, during the season, you're going to see regular content for sure. I'll be going live after every game. Bad Dog does more of the post-game video thing. I like to just hang out, talk with you guys an hour and a half after the game, whether it be, if the game's on my channel, I'll just stay on for an hour and a half. So I'm going to do that every week. I'm going to try to do one solo live every week, just to hang out with the chat, talk to you guys. Obviously, we're going to do this show twice a week, once on his channel, once on Bad Dog's channel, once on mine. And I would like to sprinkle in a random guest every week, like a different Giants creator. I would like to do that. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I would like to do so. But yes, I'm going to be much more active in season.
Yeah, my live stream is always the day after. It's either the victory celebration where we have some fun, or more often than not, it's a therapy session where we cry on each other's shoulders and talk about how bad the team is. But yes, I like to do a post because Chris goes live. I'm not going to go live opposite Chris, but I also do love to get my feelings out in a good 10 to 11 minute rant most times. Just because, this is just the way I do it. But I like to be more calm, because if I went live after the game, I'd just be screaming for an hour and a half. So I like to scream for 10 minutes, 11 minutes, and then the next night I'm calm.
Yeah, I think after the game, you're the guy that people go to laugh because they want to see your rage.
Correct.
Not the team's going to suck, and to get their emotions out. And I'm the guy that people go to calm down.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
That is exactly what it is. Like, I gotta hear Bad Dog. Yup. Feel you, Bad Dog. Yup. All right, let me go get. Now that I got that, I gotta get angry.
Now that I got that,
the voice of reason.
Yeah.
That's usually what I do. I do a
system.
video. The next day, I do a video where I'm calmer and I go over the, analyze it, and then we do the live stream the day after the game. So that's usually the way I do it. Well,
and Duncan says, short of health or Dak being available, Jones is keeping his job due to being better than any other options from where we draft. Arch, I'm not going to say that yet, Duncan, but I'm also not writing it off. Like, I think a lot of Giants fans are just going into the year thinking there's no scenario where Daniel Jones is back. I do think there's a scenario where Daniel Jones is back. I'm not leaning like you are, Duncan. If much like 2022, I'll be honest with you, Duncan. Bad Dog was the same way going into the year. I wasn't predicting Daniel Jones was going to see the field again as a Giants starting quarterback. In 2022. We didn't extend him on the fifth-year option, but I was open to the possibility. People asked me going into the year, what does he need to do? I said he has to have a Derek Carr-like season from the previous year. Derek Carr unexpectedly brought the Raiders to the playoffs, a team that most people felt had no business making the playoffs. He took care of the football. He won football games. Daniel Jones had a very similar year to that. He took a team that didn't have a ton of talent to the playoffs. So that's what he did. I was a man of my word. I said if he did that, he should be back. He did it. I wanted him back. I think there is a scenario where he could be back, but I think he's got to be even better than he was in 2022. Now, I'm going to be realistic. I'm not going to go into the year telling you I think he's got to be Josh Allen because that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. But he's got to put the Giants in a position similar to that of 2022 where they can't draft a quarterback, which means make the playoffs, and he's got to show some growth. He's got to be even better than he was in 2022. I don't have a statistical number, but he's got to have a very good year. He's got to be at least a slightly above average starting quarterback this year, and we'll see if he can do it.
Clay Holmes is pissing me off as he does every freaking night.
Who is it?
He just walked the bases over. This guy sucks. Why is he the closer? Somebody freaking tell me why Boone runs this asshole out there every ninth inning. He's blown 10 or 11 saves. Why does he keep closing? I hate this son of a bitch. I can't stand him. I hate him. Get him out of the ninth inning. You never win in shit with that guy closing a game. I hate this guy. I hate it.
That's what you get if you're new to the show after the Giants games. You're going to get that.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of that.
Les says if Jones throws 20 touchdowns and the team makes the playoffs, he's holding the team back. Jones has to grow as a passing quarterback. I mean, I'd like to see him throw 25 plus touchdowns. I'm not going to argue. I just want him to play well and the team to win. I've never been a guy that screams for great statistics. I think you have to sometimes put it in context, but he's got to have a very good year. And I want to see him do more than what he did in 2022. I'm not going to argue with that there. He played well in 2022, but let's be honest. It also had a lot to do with the fact that they relied on Saquon Barkley in the ground game, as they should have. They had the worst wide receiving core in football. But yeah, he needs to grow and consistently be a big part of the reason why the team wins football games. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Let's see. I love how Chris laughs every time Bad Dog. I can't help it, man. He's funny.
He just pisses me off. I can't stand it. I mean, every Yankee fan can't stand this guy. And somebody else in the chat said, who else do we have? Watch the Yankees. What are you like a high school kid? You don't know the game of baseball? All you got to do is watch him. Tommy Kahnle is by far the most dominant pitcher out of the bullpen. Let him close. Let somebody else have a shot at it.
Who's your most hated Yankee of all time?
This guy's up there. I can tell you that. I did not like Chuck Knobloch at all.
Oh, he hit Keith Olbermann's mother in the head with a baseball. Right?
I did not like Chuck Knobloch. I did not like him at all. That's off the top of my head. I mean, we just had some bad players, but I just did not like Chuck Knobloch.
You remember?
I got a break on that call.
Do you remember the movie Major League 2 with the catcher who had to like watch porn or whatever it was to be able to throw the ball back to the pitcher?
Yeah. I don't really remember Major League 2 like I do Major League 1, but yes, I do remember.
You know the character I'm talking about.
Yes.
That was Chuck Knobloch for the Yankees. Like he would always overthrow the first baseman. That year, I think he had like 20 plus errors. It was awful.
It was terrible. He was really bad. Carl Pavano was a guy that I could not stand. He was another one. Just suck. Kevin Brown. Yeah, there's a few Yankees I really couldn't stand. Clay Holmes is rapidly approaching that list as the bases are loaded with one out and he's got a 3-2 count on the batter.
Who's
and honestly, Christie has not thrown a strike in this at bat. The umpire's given him 2 pitches.
Who's my most hated Met of all time? It's
Bobby Bonilla.
That was the first thing that popped in my head. He was. I mean, the contract thing I think is a bit overstated because it's only $1 million a year, and they spaced it out. And I get it's like a meme, and people make fun. It's not really that for me. He was an embarrassment on that team. In the 1999 playoffs, he was so upset that the Mets weren't playing him due to his poor performance that he sat.
Game over. Guy just hit a grand slam, and I mean it's not even close.
Oh my God!
just hit a grand slam, dude. He's hit a grand slam. Yankees lose, and Boone's over there blowing bubbles like an asshole again.
And he's gonna be back.
Unbelievable. Every day. How can you keep trotting this guy out there when the same shit happens every 9th inning? What is wrong with this guy, man?
Get ready for Giants football. You're seeing it right now. Get ready.
Holy shit, dude. I mean, come on.
Substitute Aaron Boone for
you
Brian.
You know what, Chris? When we're done here, I got to make a Yankee video. I got to get it out of my I can't. This guy. I can't, dude. I can't.
Get ready for Giants football, guys. You're seeing the week 4
reaction. Yeah, you do get a lot of this after the Giants game, yeah.
You're seeing the week 4 reaction from Bad Dog after the Giants get destroyed. But guys, appreciate all you guys. You guys are the best. We'll be live Saturday on Bad Dogs. Who knows? Maybe I'll sprinkle in a surprise live stream. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll definitely be live on Bad Dogs on Saturday. And Sunday, of course, we'll be live for the game on this channel.
I can't wait.
Maybe a little bit earlier than normal just because it's opening week. The game starts at 1. Maybe we'll go 12:15. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm good. I got nothing going on Sunday. So
but regardless, people a little bit extra amped up week 1. But regardless, whatever it is, we appreciate all you guys. Looking forward to calling the game this week. Come over if you're available and if you're free on Saturday night. Please come on over to Bad Dog.
Baby, let's go.
And we'll get ready. We'll have a amp up stream before the start of the year. And I'm looking forward to talking Giants football with you guys this year. But Bad Dog, do what you do.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We're just a few days away. I am excited for football. Always am. And I'm just hoping we have a year like we did in 2022 where we just take a lot of teams by surprise and we have a good year and we have some
positive vibes only, Bad Dog. We're gonna.
I want that to happen. This fan base deserves it. We've dealt with a lot of crap. So hopefully, like I said, we see you guys on Saturday and definitely on Sunday and enjoy the rest of the week. Woosah.
We're going to be doing a lot of this year. Woosah.
For the entertaining talking sports, Bad Diggy Dizzle. Enjoy the rest of your night, buddy. We out. Peace.
Have a good night, guys.